Disclaimer. The following podcast is opinion. Although it sounds like facts, it's just a podcast about movies from two guys who love movies. Don't take it personal if you disagree. It's just a podcast. An awesome, awesome podcast. Don't be a baby.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very first episode of Preppy and The Stoner. My name is David Sheftel. I am the Preppy.
And I am Bobby Kesselman. I am the Stoner.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Pretty good, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you. This is the inaugural show.
I'm really excited.
Oh, my God. I can't wait. Now, just so the listeners know, I am wearing a three-piece suit, as any Preppy man
Sparkling
would.
with pinstripes. That's how you know he's a Preppy.
So, my tie isn't a Windsor nut, and I do have a hanky in my pocket.
It's quite dashing.
Do you mind if I describe what you are wearing?
Please.
Bobby is in his underwear, which is rare for him, and a beanie.
Yeah, well, the beanie was made by the same people who make the underwear, and
obviously.
I wanted to be matching when I was on a podcast.
The underwear and beanie are brought to you by our first sponsor, who is... I'm kidding, we don't have sponsors
No,
yet, but
not
we're
yet.
hoping we're available.
Yes, I'm hoping for the local weed store by my house, because that'd be awesome. We can get paid in weed.
Yeah, sure. I can watch you enjoy that weed.
While sipping a cappuccino.
Of course.
Pinky up. You couldn't see that I did pinky up.
Right, but always. I think the listeners know. If they know us, they know.
If they know by now, I got nothing.
All right.
Zip zaps up.
So what is this podcast about, I guess?
What I'm really excited about, and especially working with you about it, is we are two obviously very different personalities, very different people.
Very different.
But cut from the same ilk.
Yes.
I believe. Is it ilk or silk?
I cut from silk. I think you cut from milk.
I pretty much. I think you're absolutely
that's
right.
the way it goes.
And we seem to have the same sort of love for passion of the Christ.
It's a great movie.
Really.
It taught me a lot.
Yeah,
about anger.
And what I can really absorb, and I can't. I think they nailed it, to be honest.
But I'm pumped.
Sorry. And I'm excited to both debate and discuss our favorite movies, which seem to be along the same lines.
Because you and I have an affinity for film, I think.
Very much so.
And whether it be superhero movies, horror, I mean, all genres, I think there have just been times you and I have talked hours and at length about, well, what did you think about this? And we will either agree or very strongly disagree. And either way, we've either convinced each other or not at all.
Right. But I think, too, for me, the perspective is so totally different, whereas mine is a little more...
Weed-induced.
Weed-induced.
Yes.
Some would like to say medicated.
Yes, okay.
I do have a bad shoulder injury that for years has cost me about $1,800 a year.
I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just try not to do anything so I don't get hurt.
I wouldn't expect anything more or less.
Wonderful.
Kind of right in the middle there, like the baby bears porch.
We're just like the baby bears porch.
Exactly. Both of us.
Yes, combined.
And I think right now, especially off the top, damn it if we both don't have a super amazing affinity for Superman.
That we do.
And I grew up, I believe I'm like 18 years older than you, 22 years older than you.
30, 40 years older than me, but it's all good.
It's stoner math,
yes.
Man. Stoner math. No, like I grew up with the Christopher Reeve Superman. And a little bit of the comics. I didn't read a lot of the comics, but like I think I was 6 when the first Superman movie came out, and it was the most amazing, literally like the most amazing thing I'd ever seen.
Well, on the poster, it even says, "You will believe a man can fly." And I'm assuming, 1978, I want to say?
Yes.
Yeah. The special effects in that movie, it makes you go, my God, well, for the time or whatever,
right.
You're still like, this is really good.
Right.
And I do believe that man can fly.
Right.
I believe every inch of my being, I suspend disbelief and I go, this man is flying.
Right.
This is a Superman.
And it's the vision, exactly, and the X-ray vision. Like, I always loved the cool breath. I always thought that'd be awesome.
It's surprising in later things, he doesn't use it enough.
It really kind of bums me out because it's really one of the top 3 things that come out of his head that he can really control stuff with.
He does have a lot coming out of his head.
I mean, man, the guy's a thinker.
That he really is.
Just because he can stop bullets doesn't mean he can't stop a chemical fire.
Well, similar to you, I mean, and maybe this will piss off whoever is listening to this podcast, but I wasn't a big comic book guy myself, but I grew up on the cartoons, and then both of my parents, I was even bugging them the other night, my big thing was, okay, 10 movies on a deserted island, for some reason a TV works, what are your 10 movies?
Right.
And these people have been married for 34 plus years and vastly different choices. Some were the same and lined up, but like my dad was trying to hit every category. It's like, well, geez, I need another musical in there. I was like, all right, cool. So,
Right.
but back to the superhero thing. My grow up was first the Batman the Animated Series, which went into the Superman the Animated Series, and then they would cross over all the
Right.
time, and I'm like, this is unbelievable.
So you were strictly DC, basically.
Very much so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, growing up, it was all sort of DC, and I really didn't. I mean, I knew of Spider-Man, you know,
Right.
the sort of 80s to 90s cartoon, and then the X-Men cartoon.
Right.
And that was my only dabble into Marvel, but I was really going like, Superman's awesome, and
Right.
I don't know if it was the voice work of Kevin Conroy, and then Mr. Daly, and I was just like, this hits me. Then of course my dad's like, well, you got to see the movie,
Right.
and out comes Christopher Reeve, and I'm like, oh my god, it's sort of like the same time you see Star Wars for the first time. You're like, this is unbelievable.
Right. See, and like for me, I grew up with those in the theater.
Right.
And as a very young kid, so the suspension of disbelief, like my foray into movies was seeing, like being 5 years old and seeing Darth Vader.
Right.
And seeing R2-D2.
It's unbelievable.
And Hans, like Chewbacca. Like I've had dogs my entire adult life. I don't think it's a coincidence.
Right.
Like I'm looking for my Chewbacca.
For sure.
There's no doubt. But none of the dogs that I've had can shoot. It sucks.
I mean, a crossbow is heavy.
It really, and the gun belt?
Oh my God.
Please.
But like, I saw Star Wars the second time it went into the theaters, and I owned the movies, and
Right.
on the VHS and the gold box and whatever. And of course, it's always your dad who's like, you gotta watch these movies. They're some of the greatest movies ever
Right.
made. And then it's like they're coming back to theater. So I distinctly remember sitting in a theater with my dad and my sister. My mom will have none of this nonsense.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God, we're seeing this as if it's the
Right.
first time. Because
Totally.
on the theater, like in a screen with strangers is completely different than in
Completely.
your house. I don't know what that is.
It's a collective event. I mean,
sure.
it's like a mob rule.
Right.
Right? Like you go out and everybody goes and watches dude on the trapeze.
Yep.
And you're all watching it and you're all thinking the same different thought, but you're all together and experiencing it together, and what you're watching, you're experiencing. And because I saw The Shining on the big screen like in
wow.
'94 in Switzerland. Like,
Jeez.
yeah, I was over there for the summer, and it was like, this guy's like, The Shining's over, and I'm not a good horror movie guy.
I'm not
Like,
either.
It works on me.
Yep.
Like the whole thing freaks me out.
I know we're going to talk about genres later, and that one is on my list.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, good. Yep.
Not so much
No.
need for.
And sometimes you need to take a woman on a date to a scary movie for your own benefit, but it can turn on you
Oh, no, it's never
real
worked.
quick.
I've never had a second date after
No.
seeing a horror movie on a date.
That's great.
Oh yeah, no, they would like to see a movie with a man.
See, my thing is when I go to a horror movie, I know we're jumping a lot of places, but we'll get back to Superman. But when I am in a horror movie, I'm the guy who back is pressed up against the back of the seat, hands on the armrest,
Right.
dug in, and the people with me will go, "Oh, you didn't jump at any of the jump scares at all." And I go, "I will not be sleeping tonight. Tonight is going to be a bad night for me." But
I did.
yeah.
On the inside.
On the inside, I was, "Huh,
Yeah.
oh no."
Oh no. Oh my. Oh I.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't do it.
No.
I just. Like I want to say the last horror movie I saw. Like I saw the Blair Witch in the theater.
Oh wow.
And that was wild because that was the same thing, collective experience, and it was just everybody was like freaking out, and there was a baby crying. It was like 11 o'clock on like opening weekend, 11 p.m. and there was like a baby crying at the near the front of the theater, and they were African American,
Okay.
and the woman finally, after a half hour, finally takes the baby out of the theater, and everybody applauds. The entire theater. This is the middle of this movie, which is very suspenseful.
Right.
And to which, after everybody applauds, one of the women gets up and goes, "She'll be back." And we were like,
Interesting.
and then we
Okay.
applauded again.
Yeah.
That was even better. And then everybody got back into the movie, but it was like one of my favorite experiences ever. She'll be back.
My experience with a crying baby in a collective movie theater was the gentleman who was holding the crying child off to the side, and you'll have to help me, MMA Chuck...
Liddell?
Chuck Liddell is holding the child, and no one's saying a thing.
No,
that baby's
no,
going to cry,
yeah.
and this movie is ruined for all of us, because who wants to go up to Chuck Liddell
Right.
and say, "Excuse me," but I was just like, nope.
And not like one, look to the side,
the only one.
Everybody just looked ahead.
My mom was like, "Geez, why are they there?" I go, "Just be quiet. It's fine. He kills people for a living. It's okay.
Mom.
It's like you don't know who he is." So, but back to tell me about your Switzerland story.
Switzerland, The Shining.
Yes.
Saw The Shining on the big screen, and I think it might have been the first time I saw it. That movie freaked me out so much. There is so I love seeing movies in my place because I'm a stoner and I feel most comfortable in my house, not leaving a 3-mile radius of my place. And I don't have TV, so I just watch movies, and so I can really get into it. But a movie like The Shining on the big screen is just a different experience.
For sure.
Especially with somebody like Stanley Kubrick, who knows how to utilize every inch of a 50-foot projected image.
Everything, yeah. I mean, he was obviously... I don't think we're saying anything special that he was a master at what he did, But you're putting that with Stephen King as well, and you're going like, okay, here are two people who are obviously at the top of their game and doing it for this medium. But, I thought it was interesting. I can't remember where I heard it, so I apologize. This is not my original idea. But it might have been a comedian saying, this is the first time this group of strangers is going to be an audience together. And I'm like, what an interesting concept.
And the only time.
Yeah, and this is the only time
we all got together to go enjoy this.
Right. Or not. Or not enjoy this. And how many times have you seen a movie later that you've watched at your house and you're like, I hated this in the theater, and I love this now. It's one of my movies. And it's just like, you know what? Sometimes the vibe on a Friday or Saturday night.
Big Lebowski.
Seriously, yeah.
Our crowd sucked.
Yep.
And I wasn't into it. I was like, I don't understand it.
That's how I was with Anchorman.
Yeah,
The group I had was not into it, didn't understand it, and later you're like, this is one of the top comedy.
But did it manipulate your viewpoint?
Of course.
While you're watching it, it wasn't like you were enjoying it.
No, I was with the crowd because the crowd sways you. If that's a Roman Colosseum thing, I don't know what it is, but you're sitting there going, yeah, none of us like this.
Right.
This is probably not a good movie. You watch it later and you go, oh, it must have just been the vibe of that Friday night with those strangers.
Right.
And I don't know why we were all in agreement. But I'm sure it's the same with a play or something like that.
A complete 180 to that.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw The Ring in the theater, I've never been angrier watching a movie because the audience was so into it, and I thought it was such a horrible movie. And I mean, I wanted to get up and be like, what are you guys, so worried about? This is the most ridiculous... First of all, it's videotape. Second of all...
We're afraid of videotape here, people.
Come on.
Right.
Maybe if it's 86, I understand The Ring.
Right.
That movie was and I wanted to just scream at the crowd for a half hour, and then I just sat down.
You're like, there are DVDs.
Right.
That's what we should be afraid of.
Those could kill you if you fall wrong.
Right. They could slice
you. I understand.
I've cut myself putting the DVD into the...
This is a freaking 9 Inch Nails video you're watching that's going to kill you. Get out of here.
That's funny.
But yeah, that collective experience, I was completely on the outside.
Right. And
very resentful.
Yep. But it can go the other way too, where everybody hates this and you were the one guy going, ha ha, this is amazing.
I'm second generation stoner, and my mom, who's a very good stoner, I've enjoyed watching movies with her. We saw Eugene Levy movie, Christopher Guest. For your consideration.
I was like, be more specific. Eugene Levy, Christopher Guest. Please be more specific.
We can go from 86 to present. For your consideration.
Right.
Me and my mom might have tucked a little joint right before. And
the hell you say?
No, it's true.
Oh, wow.
In her car. We had parked. It wasn't on the way there. It was when we got there.
Your mom and you... have a very different relationship than my mom and me, and I think we are both considered mama's boys and very close with our mothers.
Very true.
This is interesting.
Very true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember when your mom took you to buy your first Izod.
Yes,
it was a great day.
It was unbelievable.
Sorry,
I don't know.
Yeah. So, but again, I want to preach responsibility.
What a callback! All right. This is the first episode we have a callback for some reason. Yeah.
Remember, I had Star Wars. I saw Star Wars in the theater.
In the theater. God, you're old. You're wasting away in front of me.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So you were smoking with your mom in the car.
So we're finished up.
Yep.
Mom gets a little giggly.
Oh, really?
She gets the giggles. I get the indoor laugh where you're just like, but she's like, bah, bah, bah. So we go and see For Your Consideration. And she laughs so hysterically, like in between jokes, not even waiting for the punchline.
Right.
And it was funny at first, and then after like 20 minutes, the most obnoxious thing you've ever been a part of in your life. And I saw that movie again, and I'm like, I mean, it's funny.
It's okay.
Right?
It'll do.
I don't remember. And then I watched it with my mom, or we talked about it, and she was like, yeah, I watched it, and I don't remember it being that funny.
Loving it that much. But just that night, that strand of weed took care of it. You're like, this is the greatest movie ever made.
Thank you, Giggles OG Kush.
Wonderful. Something I was thinking about earlier, and tell me if we're getting way too philosophical about audiences and whatnot, but hey, it's our podcast. I guess we can do whatever we want. Why do we still call them movies?
As opposed to films?
Films or talkies, even. You know what I mean? Like, first there were movies, I get it. Moving pictures. 1927 hits, Al Jolson's the jazz singer, first talkie. And everyone goes, talkies, these are the things, that's the new wave. It'll never hit. It obviously took off.
Right.
Why did we go, okay, everything's a talkie now, go back to movies. It's much easier. Yeah, is it easier to say let's all go to the movies? Is it, because let's all go to the films is hard in your mouth. I don't know why.
Let's all go to the films. Yeah, I think because people don't talk like this anymore, see? So you can't put the talkies in. You gotta go see the pictures.
But you see, everyone thinks that Americans talk like that in the 1940s. It was actually a movie thing, like an affectation that actors were told to put on in the movies, which made people in the real world go, well, geez, if Cary Grant's talking like that, I guess I should too.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's just vernacular because it's still moving pictures.
True.
It's just, I think it's an abbreviated version of movie pictures with sound.
Well, let me ask you this. Is digital film, or is that technically moving pictures? Or?
Well, it's not shot on film.
No, that's what I mean. So it's...
Oh, that's what you're talking about the whole time, and it just took me an hour to get there.
It's all good.
Shocker.
It's 2017. Yeah, I guess we can't say, let's go see a data...
Yeah, let's go see 10101000100010001110.
It's a little bit to say.
0001.
By that time,
100.
The date doesn't want to happen.
01.
It's like we're tired.
Right.
Let's watch Netflix.
Right. Plus, texting that.
Oh, what a pain.
What 10001000100001 are playing tonight?
Oh, the other person has killed themselves. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, too bad. So you went alone. But it's fine. And that movie was Superman, the movie. Back full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Like Superman did to save Lois.
Yes.
Reverse circle.
We could talk about that forever. Okay, this is a segment called How Does This Work? And we're starting with 1978's Superman, the movie. So, as we know, Lex Luthor's big real estate deal plan.
Best genius plan in the history of Superman, maybe even all movies.
Because know why?
Talkies.
Thank you. Because it makes sense. You go, I bought up all the land in Nevada.
Right.
I'm going to blow up California.
It's the best ever.
And now it's going to be beachfront property. I'm going to make a killing in this land deal.
In this killing.
But I'm also I'm sending that bomb to California, but I'm also sending it to the East Coast because Superman cannot be in two places at once. So what does he do? So he goes and he stops the one, I believe, in California.
Yeah, because friggin' Lois Lane.
Right.
Who is, historically throughout every movie, without that woman, Superman can, it just shows you how much women distract men. Because,
Bobby's on his high horse again. Bobby's single. I mean, I'm single too, but I love women. Women, I'm available, so.
I'm not saying that women are bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying they're distracting. I'm saying if Superman doesn't fall in love,
right?
Because if he was gay, it could have been the same thing, and I'd be like, ugh, men.
You're true, very true. I apologize.
Thank you.
But he's just like, hamana, Lois.
Right. I better go save this part of the world. And what's it called? Batman vs Superman.
Yep.
She ruins everything.
Yep.
She ruins everything. If it's not for her, he's able to focus on the things he needs to focus on.
Yeah, most of the time, Batman doesn't seem to, care either way about the young female he's infatuated with for this movie.
He's just an angry
Superman's
dude.
a one-girl guy.
Man.
But in saving California and the dam from blowing up, Spoilers for Superman the movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. So, I guess we'll put it in the time code. This is the time where we're spoiling 1978's Superman the movie. But anyway, Lois dies in a rock slide, avalanche type thing.
And apparently, like, sort of Dale Earnhardt Senior way. Like,
yeah.
Like, nothing, like, destroyed her.
No, but she's just sort of...
Like, broke her neck or something.
Yeah, she's there. So, obviously, Superman, who... very distracted, very in love, is distraught. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
Super tears.
So he decides, I guess I will spin the Earth back around the wrong way on its axis, changing time or going back in
reversing time.
Is he? So yeah, that's right. He is reversing time. He is not going back in time.
Right.
He has reversed time, and then he has started time again by going the correct way.
Right.
And at this point, Lois is fine, and he just lets her out of her car and flies her off to safety. But since time has reversed, have not the bombs still gone off, and he has not stopped them?
You prove my point.
I prove your point. Well, I have heard others say that at this point, there are now 2 Supermen in that existence. So since he has reversed time, he is still within that world. So the him from the past is still completing the tasks of saving the world, and then this the Superman we have stuck with the entire time is now saving Lois Lane.
But wait a minute, within that, if he is the master of time, how can there be another him?
That's the hard part that I don't believe. Yeah. And also I'm going, okay, so if there are 2 Superman now, who gets to be with Lois? Because this is going to be weird. Or great, depending on how you look at it. Now there's 2 Supermans.
Right.
Whatever the plural would be, since it's the same guy.
I think it's Superman.
Right, like elk or deer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So there are 2 Superman, and why can't one be on the East Coast in Metropolis and the other be...
Which obviously they need.
Right, and why don't they have another one in the ficticious city in California that DC has?
Yeah, not California.
Right, wherever Hal Jordan's from.
Yeah, so, I would say, because what I think people have the most trouble with that is that it's reversing time and it's physically impossible.
Right, up to this point, we've believed that the star baby from Krypton, who speaks English and can lift a car over his head as a child,
with his little penis out for some reason.
Right. Well, you needed to know he was a baby or toddler,
or a weird way to get pedophiles to watch the movie. Like, were they staunchly against it?
I wasn't into this film first, but now I am.
You say there's a little boy saving the world naked, eh?
Right. All right, I'm going.
Well, for the first half.
Yeah, you got me.
I can get my ticket back.
You got me, Donner. I thought this wasn't for me, but
Once
movies.
Again, Donner, you know
talkies. Excellent. You were going to say that in Man of Steel?
That Man of Steel.
Yep.
Baby Dink.
Yep.
What level of weirdness?
Do you think it's because... I'm going out on a limb here.
Please.
Maybe a lot of children or baby actors are female, and to prove that to the audience that we are using a male child, I don't know why.
That's I got to tell you, I feel like that one is more. Had you smoked the joint, would make more sense.
Well, we are hotboxing in here, and I'm feeling a little dizzy. But groovy, is that the word?
It was like 2 minutes ago.
Excellent.
Now it's groovy.
Wonderful. So
sorry, my stoner shit's terrible.
It's all good.
No, I think. It's just the weirdest thing in the world to me that you explain it. Explain.
Yeah, and I cannot find anyone even.
Are we going to see a little Wonder Vagina in Wonder Woman when she's a baby?
Well,
I don't think I might. I don't think I'm going to put that one in because I don't think you can put it. I don't think you can even legally say baby vagina.
No, I don't think you can.
Unless you're Louis C.K.
This will all cut. We'll cut all of this. None of this is going to be in the podcast, so it's fine. If we're still going with what was the segment called? How is this a thing?
How is this possible?
Yeah, what is this?
If you're going to depend on me to remember stuff
I'm sorry.
we said.
Well, go back. Whatever I said before this, it's the same segment. Let's go to Superman 2.
Yes. Oh, and real quick.
Yes.
Why did he only hit the reverse button for 30 seconds? The guy could have went like
saved his dad from a heart attack. Yeah. Hey, Dad, it's me from the future. Put the
No
bacon,
more bacon.
Yeah, put the bacon down because you're going to have a heart attack.
Yeah, and you're going to leave friggin' Ma all alone with his farm till
Right.
eventually, 35 years from now, somebody's going to beat her up.
And I'll tell you, I'm not going to stay here. I got to go to the big city and be a reporter. Sorry, Ma. Hope you can take care of all the corn on this field out in Kansas.
By the way, I'm Superman. I could probably handle that in like a day.
But you know what? My space dad told me not to interfere with humans.
And your husband, the guy you married, seems to be against me using my powers later in movies, which is nonsense.
Yeah,
I hate that Kevin Costner character more than anything in the history of the world.
And you know what? The casting was pitch perfect, but he was given
Nothing.
absolutely the... Well, I think both he and Diane Lane, right?
Yep.
Yeah, were both given terrible parenting or parent...
There's a reason they couldn't have a kid.
Right. It was like, yeah, you guys... Yeah. Well, I think the line that really gets me from Man of Steel is, what was I supposed to do? Just let them die? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, right.
This kid will never become Superman. It in fact legitimizes Batman v Superman a little bit. I can hear all the screaming through the iPads and iPods.
There is no justification
right.
for anything.
We'll get to it. It's not a great movie. But it makes you go, oh yeah, this guy did not have any help becoming Superman from the parents who raised him, who were supposed to teach him the ideals of humanity to make him the
let that
savior
bus
of the
full
world.
that bus filled with kids. You're supposed to let them drown, man.
Yeah, but you're fine. Right. You're okay.
Yeah.
You
How did he end up thinking about saving the world? That's a great point.
Yeah. He had no shot. Even in Batman v Superman, she's like, "Save the world, don't save the world." It's like, you don't owe this world anything. You are the only person who can do these things. Maybe owe them a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I'm being part of the show.
Yeah, no, this is the stoner part. But again, I know we're all over the map, but still in the Superman realm. Back to what? How did that even? Yeah. How's that a thing in a movie?
Okay, Superman 2.
Superman 2. He's lost his powers.
Yep.
He's retrieved his powers back.
He willingly lost his powers.
For Lois, again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But he gets his powers back. He's tricked the bad guys. Non is coming after him, and a Superman power that does not exist anywhere. He rips off the shield on his chest to become a cellophane Superman shield and throws it at him, and it's a minor inconvenience before it disappears.
Right. Dude, you don't know how much the 80s was trying to promote
Cellophane?
Safety cellophane.
Safety cellophane.
Cellophane safety, sorry. Yeah, no, dude, there were the tragic instances that made them, like, it was actually, the government paid them to put that in.
Oh, wow, okay, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Like Transformers in the Navy or whatever.
Right, yeah, of course. Totally understand.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Also, I mean, and Christopher Reeve, I think both of us would say he's our ideal Superman.
Right.
And I think everything after that is either Brandon Routh trying to be exactly the same or Henry Cavill going...
Who I love.
And I like him too. I just feel like he hasn't been given the right Superman.
I think he, out of 100%, is doing 110% with what he's given.
Yes. Well, I could almost say that about any of the actors in the DC universe, which I know we will talk about in our segment. What you doing, DC?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Just curious.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, it's weird.
It's a marvel at how bad your ideas are.
Clap, 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 clap. But yeah, again, I think he's doing the best with what he's given. Yeah. But I just don't like a sulking Superman. And that's what he is.
It's a emo. It's everything is.
He's very upset. It's very millennial Superman. I guess that's the best way of like things are not going how I thought, and I'm upset, so I'm gonna pout or go talk to my ghost dad in the North Pole.
Okay, you know what though? Like, here's what sort of just struck me is like, everything you've just mentioned completely justifies him being emo. Like, adopted,
right?
The image he has of his real father is sort of a hallucination. And they're telling him how great he is and how super he is, and then his real parents are telling him, "Yeah, but don't be."
Right, but in the Christopher Reeve version, and in the comic version, Ma and Pa Kent are like build him up to be this superhero, to be sort of the savior of the world.
They also have gray hair.
That's very true.
Which like they're old. the original Superman comic, the original Superman movie to me was a comic book.
Right.
Like it was so well done as to how they
You mean it had some color in it as opposed to these new ones?
And lines were drawn.
Yeah, lines were drawn, panels.
No, that it was like not campy, but it didn't take itself obviously as seriously as Man of Steel does or Batman Superman.
This DC cinematic universe is earnest, I guess is the word, or
humorless.
Yeah.
Even Suicide Squad, which was supposed to be this funny, fun movie, had Avengers 2's plot.
True.
And then Avengers 2 has the Dazed and Confused plot. We all got to sign this paper, Randall Pink Floyd, and he's all, no. What about this? Like
you mean Civil War has that?
Civil War, I'm sorry.
That's
Yes,
quite all right.
yes.
I can just,
Avengers 2.
I can hear the fanboys yelling at that, at everything. No, you're an idiot. It's Civil War.
I would accept that if it was the Preppy that said that.
Yes.
But I have my own defense, and it is in my name. But it's, and the Avengers 2 with, what's her name? Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
And Suicide Squad's like, yeah, okay, we've got the witch, and we've got her on the good guy side, but she's the bad guy.
Right.
Turns out, like I've never seen a worse plot, literally in my life.
Well, and I'll get into it when we're into it, unless we're into it now.
I think it's all sort of a free form.
It is a very free form.
I cannot follow the rules.
That's
of the road,
all right.
Bro.
You set up the rules, which is amazing. Just my real quick thing on
I'll do left-hand turns.
That's all I care about. Thank you.
Signal. I'm signaling the left-hand.
We're taking a hard left into the DC cinematic universe of today, which started with Man of Steel. But my last thing on Christopher Reeve as Superman in Superman 2 is the idea of that Superman going back at the end of the movie to the diner.
I can't agree more.
Like being so petty to beat that guy up.
It's the most un-Superman thing he'll ever do.
And I applaud it. Like, I like it. I'm glad because you're like, oh, that it sort of it makes him a little bit human. But again, in those Christopher Reeve movies, which are much more comic book oriented, Superman would just forgive that guy.
Yeah, and get it. And you know what? Take your ass kicking, pal.
Right. Like,
take your ass kicking.
Right. Because up until this point, you have had the greatest powers.
Right.
Anyone on the planet
could
shoot
have. You.
Yeah, and you're fine.
With a grenade.
Right.
Those guns are crazy.
Yeah. Those are called RPGs. They're rocket-propelled grenades. It's not really a gun, but it's all good.
And it's amazing. Yeah, take your ass kicking. Like, the guy's a dick. Like, the thing that cracks me up is the way they define the guy being a jerk is he insults the food.
Right.
He's not like, hey, let me get that sweet ass, like some scumbag.
Right.
He's like, yeah, what's this garbage?
Like,
they're like,
even into Man of Steel, they try to recreate that with the guy who pushes him and pours the beer on his head.
Right.
And maybe, well, again, I was going to say maybe the more Superman thing is that he didn't beat him up. He just destroyed his livelihood by destroying his, truck.
Right. And again, it's justified because the guy's a jerk.
Right. But from our comic book cartoon Superman, Superman would just be like, you know what? He knew not.
Yeah, exactly.
He knew not.
But man, I sure hope he robs a bank so I can punch him into the future.
Right, exactly. It's so true. Spin it back around to before he was born and tell his mom, this is not the kid.
It's over.
Yeah, I wouldn't have this kid. Great.
Roe v. Wade was just passed.
Yeah, so it's fine. So now I guess this is the segment where we talk about the DC Cinematic Universe.
Absolutely.
Starting with sort of Man of Steel.
Yeah, I watch that movie all the time.
Really?
I love that movie.
You love it?
I really love it. I think, again, Cavil,
Henry Cavill.
Big Hank.
Yeah, big old Hank.
Like, if you look at him in The Immortals, which is awful, he's a little dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's not, and he became Superman.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like, to me, what made Christopher Reeve the best Superman ever is he's a great Clark Kent. What made Tobey Maguire a great Spider-Man is he's a great Peter Parker.
Although I think this new kid might be the best Peter Parker.
Remains to be seen.
Oh, okay.
Remains to be seen.
Interesting. All right. We can talk about that when we get into it.
He was good in Avengers, and but to me, always, because I love Spider-Man growing up.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you're growing up, let's do a quick quiz. I'm throwing this at you.
Yeah.
Quick quiz. When you were growing up, what were the 3 greatest superheroes you wanted to be? Obviously, Batman, Superman. This is like RSTNLE on Wheel of Fortune.
Right, mine are,
we'll give those.
Right, mine are Batman, Superman for sure. And then, again, I watched the Spider-Man cartoon. I think my very first Halloween costume that my parents picked for me was Spider-Man. But then if there's a fourth place in there, it's Wolverine from the X-Men cartoon as well. Because, I don't know, this short little... for some reason, in all my superheroing growing up, I even though Superman's kind of my ideal... I always like the guy who didn't go along with the team.
Right.
So whether that's Raphael from Ninja Turtles or Wolverine from X-Men, it's the guy going, yeah, okay, I don't know if I really want to be a part of this team, but I'll go along with it. Fa-ching,
Right.
And he usually ends up saving the day.
Right.
But
and learns how to be a team player as well.
For sure. Because, like your Leonardos, your Scott,
your Cyclopses.
they're always, they're the goody two-shoes. They do what's been told. Remind me about Scott or Cyclops again when we come to
definitely the X-Men.
To Logan even particularly. So, but anyway, we're still in the DC cinematic universe. But yeah, so my top three would probably be Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. You top three?
I would say Spider-Man.
Okay.
I used to want to be the Human Torch for a long time.
Really? Until you realize he's a dick.
That was the appeal.
Yeah. But he's not the dick in the way that like a Wolverine or a...
No, he's just like, dude, if you could be fire and like
fly.
And, like when I was a kid, I was a fire kid.
Oh, okay.
Like,
You're
I love
pyro.
fire. Oh yeah, I almost burned the house down.
Obviously.
It was awesome.
Wonderful.
But I didn't.
Good for you. Look at you. And now you just smoke it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I control it, dude.
Yeah.
Like who?
Like the Human Torch.
Thank you.
I should have said someone else who controls it. Like
the Invisible Girl.
Yes. Who also controls fire by putting an invisible shield around Johnny Storm.
And she can create it with the light. And
right.
she can make a magnifying glass.
Very true.
Don't diss the Invisible Girls. I'm saying.
That's very true.
But see, I loved comic books growing up. So, like, I always wanted to be Wolverine number one.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, I always related it to him the most because we had the same hair.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, Peter Parker has the best drawn hair. Like, Logan's was cool, but it was like...
But you didn't know anybody who actually looked like that with the mutton chops and the devil horns for some reason.
Right, my Uncle Mike, and he was, like, on the other side of the family. Like, what's it called? Step or in-law?
Right, we don't talk to Uncle Mike much.
No, we haven't in, like, 15 to 20.
Ah, interesting. So, okay, so you got...
So it was Logan... Logan was cool because his powers were just, you can't beat him, and he's got claws for hands.
Right.
I mean, what's better in the world? Smokes cigar, says bub. But Spider-Man was the coolest, and then Superman.
Superman was your third.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I always loved Captain America. And it's like what I liked about Captain America and Superman for the same reason was no matter what, and with their powers, they always chose on the side of good.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously through 60 years of storytelling, that'll change.
Right.
But the crux of who they were always positive characters and really good messages. Whereas like Wolverine's a cold-blooded killer.
Mm-hmm. He's the best at what he does, and what he does isn't very nice.
And Spidey's fighting... Like, the people Spidey had to fight were insane.
Right.
Like, and he was just awesome.
Yeah.
And he was like a great character and just such a great... just... Spider-Man was just awesome.
Well, and I think what makes some of these characters, awesome, like, if you said Logan is Wolverine's, secret identity or whatever, there's not a lot of difference between them. You know what I mean? Like, he's pretty much, he's Wolverine the whole time. Peter Parker is a real guy who's dealing with, whether he's in high school, as I guess we'll see in Spider-Man Homecoming, or, growing up and just trying to be a photographer and work his life and pay his bills like a normal human being.
With no parents.
Right. An auntie has to take care of him.
And obviously no cousins.
Right.
Like, they didn't have kids.
No.
So it's just like this weird life he's had.
Right. And on top of that, there's a man with octopus arms trying to destroy the city. And it's very similar to Superman who, hey, he's got to work his job. He's like, he lives in an apartment like a normal guy. He pays his bills. He's not a billionaire with a cave under his mansion. He's got to,
See, the only time I ever wanted to be Batman was because of his money.
Right.
But I also liked Richie Rich. Except
Right.
then that movie came out, and I was just like,
That was
sorry.
a hell of a movie. No, sorry, something was flying around.
Oh,
It's not
cool.
you.
It's not that awful evil smoke.
No, get that out of my lungs.
I've got to be on a yacht tomorrow.
I guess, speaking of Batman being rich, he will tell us in this new Justice League movie more than once, apparently. So that's his superpowers, being rich.
Exactly. Having an extra smart butler who knows complex computers, complex weaponry, all of it, not a problem.
You know, I always felt that Alfred really got the shaft. Well, it's a double-edged sword with Alfred. Is he the best parent that Bruce has ever had and was never sort of acknowledged as the only father figure he's had? Or is he also the worst father figure who let this child basically go around the world learning every type of martial art and deadly fighting style to dress up as a human bat in the middle of the night and run around? So he's also the best and worst.
And my biggest question too is, what did he do all the years Bruce was gone?
Right.
Like,
did he check in?
Clean the house?
Did he just sit in the Bentley?
Just
waiting, I don't know,
just
waiting. I'll take the rolls for a ride.
Yeah. Who's always Alfred in your head out of all the actors that have played him? Who's Alfred to you?
Again, you probably won't, but I always think of the Alfred from the animated series. So bald with a little bit of hair and the pencil-thin mustache. Master Bruce, we can't do this. Which is kind of sort of built on the gentleman who played him in the 1966 Batman.
Who was phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think, again, they did it in the Lego movie recently, which is there's an episode where Bruce Wayne needs to be somewhere and Batman needs to be somewhere as well. So Alfred is wearing Adam West's Batman costume and the mustache is poking out the bottom of the cowl. And I'm like, this is genius.
Well, like if the Joker can do it, Batman can do it.
Right, exactly. And it's like from far away, Batman is there going, yes, it's me, Batman.
The Joker seems to have replaced... Oh, that's Shatner.
Yeah, you're still...
I cannot do a Shatner and an Adam West.
They're very close. That's the thing.
Adam West. There. I can only say Adam West saying his name.
Holy Shatner, Batman! You're talking like William Shatner.
Well, that's Adam West.
That's Adam West, my young companion.
Holy nightmare. I loved the animated series.
I was
like 5 when I first saw it. And was just like, I mean, this is...
You were 5 when you first saw it?
On reruns.
Gotcha.
Because we didn't have cable back then.
By the animated series, you mean the Adam West series, 1966 Batman.
Exactly.
Yes. When you said the animated series, I was like, I think you're a little older.
No, Superman had gone through reverse thing and gave
gave you that life.
I wish I said that better.
That's all right. So you saw Batman 66.
Yeah. So I always had like. Batman was always kind of like this funny, nice dude. And had an odd, cool relationship with this kid. Mm-hmm. And the kind of weird old man.
And even the Rogues Gallery was not as bad as you thought. Like, Cesar Romero's Joker was not this dark, murderous, like, they would surf together. It was like, ooh, well, Batman, we'll be doing that, that sort of thing.
Let's see you do a double barrel.
Right, exactly.
Holy nightmare.
Right.
I don't know why I just did Batman doing Robin. But I should rephrase that.
We'll cut that out. None of this will air. It's fine. Back to the DC cinematic universe.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
So we started with Man of Steel.
But I'm sorry. I always
please.
see in my head Alfred is always Michael Caine.
Yeah, I don't know why either. But like, if I were to pick a movie, Alfred, Michael Caine fits for some reason, and different than I guess the 1966 Batman or the animated Batman. He's not your typical butler. But the idea that he was like special forces...
Yeah, kind of funny.
But kind of funny. I was
knew then that I had to look after a family in a rich house in another country.
Right.
Like, what?
Right, but also the idea of like, will you be taking the Batmobile, sir? In the middle of the day, Alfred, not very subtle,
Stallone is Batman. I don't know, Alfred.
Whatever, take the Lamborghini, Right, much more subtle, that sort of thing.
Right.
But I guess we like an Alfred that gives Bruce the business a little bit.
Right, that keeps him honest.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like my biggest complaint in Dark Knight Rises is he's in the Batcave with him, and they're figuring out a way to get Bane, and he puts the thing on his knee, and he kicks through the wall, and Alfred looks at him, is like, oh, he's gonna kick your ass. I'm like,
Right.
you were with him the whole time until he kicked the wall out.
That Alfred, I mean, yeah, it falls apart in Dark Knight Rises because in Batman Begins and Dark Knight, he's with him the whole way.
Go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Kick him all in the face.
Right. He will lie about, how Rachel died and like burn everything to keep him safe, to keep him being Batman.
Right.
He goes, the world needs Batman. By Dark Knight Rises, the world doesn't need Batman anymore. You haven't been doing this for 10 years, and so much so that I'm going to leave you in your hour of need.
Right.
And again, the other coin of that, or side of that coin, is Batman or Bruce Wayne going, good, leave. Like, who needs you? And then he wakes up the next morning going, Alfred, the one person who lives with him who said, yeah, I'm not staying if you're going to do this. And I guess he didn't believe him.
Maybe subtle under the cover thing that we never realized is he was a Klonopin addict.
He must have been. That's obviously what it was.
But, okay, the DC Universe, we're going back because, okay, like, let's
How long is this podcast, by the way? What are we at? Has it
I think
recorded?
we can edit this down to like 10 minutes.
Okay, good. How long is this?
I think we're in almost an hour.
Oh, good. So 3 more hours, we'll be done with the whole thing.
We should get to Batman Begins by then.
Yeah, exactly. But we're starting with this DC cinematic universe, which starts with Man of Steel. Which you and I had a long conversation.
I'll go. Let's go to Batman Begins because I kicked the mic.
You include Batman Begins into this world?
Yes, because it's all still Warner Brothers.
Okay, that's fine. But the continuity that we're talking about is the last 3 films.
Yeah, that's the current universe. Totally.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like
Batman
from
Begins.
Batman in 1989 or 1990 comes out, and they pop off 5 movies.
Right.
And it took it from, like, the fact that everybody calls the first
Keaton.
Batman, the first trilogy or the first 2 movies dark, like.
Well, when you look at it now, but at the time you were like, no one's doing this. You know what I mean? Batman's blowing up people. He's got machine guns. It's actually really campy.
Right.
If you think about it.
Completely.
And I know, like, I have friends who go, hey, I watch Batman Returns, the second one, with Danny DeVito as the Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. They're like, I watch that every Christmas. It's a Christmas movie for me. And I've sat down and tried to watch it again, and it is slow.
Yeah, it's a very odd movie. But what I've seen in watching that one again, to me, that whole movie is just because Michelle Pfeiffer is the best villain lady on the best actress that's ever played, like, whatever.
Right.
She's just amazing in it. Like, she gets that part.
For sure. But I feel like that movie is also just Tim Burton going, yeah, this Batman thing, the Catwoman, that's fine, but I really want to make a movie about a weird penguin guy. That's what I'm into.
What I really like about it is it's an amazing satire on politics.
Very much
That
so.
movie ends up becoming like a weird art project or like I always see Tim Burton as the
most expensive independent filmmaker.
Yeah, art school.
Yeah.
Art school. Like when you would go, like when you were in film school and all the stuff you went through, you go see some of these movies and you walk out and you're like,
oof.
I don't understand anything that happened. But the guy who made it's kind of cool.
Right.
But yeah, it's really weird. Like almost John Watersy to me.
In many ways. Yeah, that's funny.
Like,
I would have never thought that, but that's a perfect
keeps the
pairing.
same cast. Keeps sort of irreverence. A little disappointed he hasn't had Pee-wee in all his movies.
That's true. Yeah.
I should rephrase that.
Pee-wee Herman.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Paul Rubens, the actor who just had a new Pee-wee.
Yeah.
Herman.
Oof.
But I guess if we're going back to Batman '89, because I guess that was basically they had four Supermans. And, I mean, we only really count the first 2.
Right.
And then the next 2, you're like, there's the Richard Pryor one.
Which I rewatched the other day, which is really bizarre.
It's so bizarre.
Was the reason I always give Superman 3 credit is because it was such a great plot point in Office Space.
Yes.
So, like, because it really is, another very intelligent, evil plan.
Right.
Villain.
That makes sense.
Who's not like a murderer, but doesn't mind a little murder.
Although I think that was supposed to also be Lex Luthor, and
Gene Hackman's like, you're out of your mind.
I'm not doing this again.
Right.
And until 4, The Quest for Peace, which is a terrible movie.
Yeah. You know the story about that movie with the producers.
I don't actually.
I forget who. It was like, I think there's a great documentary about it, and it wasn't any of the same production crew.
Right.
And then like in the middle of the movie, it was a $30 million budget. Now it's an $18 million budget.
Right. It just kept like they all kept going down. They're like, we can do this for less and less. And I know that Christopher Reeve was like, I'm only going to do another Superman if we make it about nuclear weapons and like really the quest for peace. But that whole bad guy, the electric
Mr.
man, whatever.
Exactly.
Like, you have a bad guy who is the opposite of Superman with all of his power. Just use Bizarro. You have an entire comic book history of Lex Luthor doing this, where it's like, let's make a clone of Superman gone wrong.
That's why, but that's why it always kills me too about, especially even the current crop of movies that they make, is you've got 70 years of incredible plot lines to like borrow from.
And the very difficult thing about superheroes is, you do an origin story. That's your Act 1. Everything else is Act 2 forever.
Right.
Until they die. And then they're brought back, and then that death is part of Act 2. You never finish them off because the stories need to keep going.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's why Captain America, all of a sudden he's frozen, he's back.
Right.
You know, all that sort of stuff. But the thing that kills me about Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, it's the only way you can refer to it, is Electric Man takes Lois Lane, flies her to the moon where she is fine. They have a space battle on the moon. She's just waiting around the corner. No oxygen, no nothing. Her lungs don't explode. She doesn't expand. She doesn't die.
Nope.
And all hunky-dory.
Well, once you get
win.
through the atmosphere, at a certain point, you adapt to everything. We're human beings, man.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. I'm sorry. Science is not my forte. But anyway. So then, then they go, okay, this is terrible. We need to stop with this. Then someone goes, oh my God, we still have a lot of this DC stuff. Why don't we do Batman? Batman 89 happens.
Right.
And you get an unknown.
The only reason why I brought it up from the current universe is it brought respect to the genre.
It made it legitimate, for sure. It's not comic books anymore. Now it's film, and it's a genre of its own. But I wonder if that's one, you have the unknown, which is Michael Keaton in the role. Right. And then you have a very known, which is Jack Nicholson as your Joker. Right.
And you have a very unknown with Tim Burton.
Right. It's very true.
And I think it was just, it elevated it, even though looking back, they're not like, wow. Because, like, I can still watch all the current stuff, like Avengers, Man of Steel, Batman, Superman, like all of them. Like, I can watch them all and enjoy them. Like, I still do.
All of them?
Yeah.
Really?
No, it's horrible.
I know.
Like, I'm on reruns with... Because, like, I was so happy to hate Batman vs. Superman. Yeah. But I got to tell you, I've seen it, like, 10 times now because I have it on iTunes.
Right, so you just keep rolling it.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen it I think 3 times now, and it unfortunately, I mean, it gets a little better, and then for me, the plot stuff just doesn't make sense. I don't know why any of our main characters do what they do, and I don't want this. This could easily become a podcast of just spending the next 2 hours shitting on this movie. Right. I know we talked the other day. You were telling me what Lex Luthor's plot was. Yeah. I'm still not 100% on it.
Okay, I will give you a quick recap of what I believe it is. But before keep going, yes.
I do, but before we do that, I do want to talk about Man of Steel because I remember we first talked about it years ago. I guess 2013 when it came out, and you were like, "Nope, no good." And I went, you know, I give it a big pass because it shouldn't have been called Man of Steel. It should have been called Superman Begins because up until Zod comes and the aliens come down. He literally Supermaned for like 5 minutes. It was the first time he flew like 20 minutes prior to that. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, I got to be Superman. Again, from parents who were telling him, don't show anybody your powers. Don't go out into the open. It was only until Space Dad Jor-El said, you can be the greatest hero of all time. Save them all. You know, they'll join you in the sun.
That's why I sent you.
Right. This is the reason. They need you. So stop Zod.
Right.
Again.
My biggest problem, especially when I first saw it, was... by killing Zod, it wasn't a sacrifice issue. You made him a murderer. Right. Like at the end of the day, there's a corpse. There's a corpse here.
And it's a big plot point in the next movie.
Right. Yeah. You have to answer to murder. Right. Whether you're Superman or not. Like, I know the guy was trying to kill, but like...
But was it self-defense?
Absolutely. Right. But you still... Superman is not a murderer.
Well, ever. I mean, here's the thing. He has murdered in the comics.
But
either by
again,
accident
that's
or
after
whatever.
the first, what,
Right.
like 30, 40 years?
Right, you're talking
of
about
drawing it?
you're talking about if in Action Comics #1 he just like snapped a neck.
I would say, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you'd be like, who the hell's this guy?
Right.
You know.
Like, and that's your first
Right.
introduction to
yeah.
him? I mean, like,
Yeah.
And because,
But you like this movie.
And the bottom line, too, is the other part of why I love that movie is Michael Shannon is beyond incredible.
Brilliant.
And makes it so you're rooting for Zod. I'm with Zod on this.
Explain.
I'm with Zod on this.
Por qué?
I'm here to defend my universe. Like, what I was sworn to do, I'm doing.
Right.
I'm protecting this. You have the codex. You have the ability to help me completely recreate the universe.
Here are my huge problems with Man of Steel. And again, it's out of the DC cinematic universe that is now, which are these first three movies. It is my favorite. That being said, the tornado thing with his father is terrible.
Terrible.
Because the brilliant thing about Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve is his father has a heart attack, spoiler, and he can't
Not spoiler. Like, how upset were you when the old man fucking... Well, no, wait, that's the original Superman.
The
Sorry.
original Superman. So, yeah, it's all good. So the original Superman, he has a heart attack, and I have all these powers. There's nothing I can do.
Right.
And that makes you go, oh, wow. Even though he's super strong, super fast, man dropped dead. I can't bring him back to life.
And you can hurt him.
Right.
You can hurt him, like the emotional take of it as well.
Right. Like, that's what makes him human. That's
vulnerable.
what sends him on his quest to learn who he is. In this one, he's a whiny teen, and his dad breaks his foot in the door because of the hurricane or the tornado.
Right.
And Superman could have
To
easily...
save the dog.
Right.
To save the dog.
Which Superman A could have done.
But to save the dog.
Right.
His son shouldn't help human beings, but he goes out of his way to save the stupid dog.
Very true.
His dad did not practice what he preached.
Well, I would have saved the dog too if I could. I love animals. You have a dog. He's listening to this whole thing too.
I'm just saying that the guy didn't like. That's another thing, beef that I have with people is people who care more about animals than human beings.
Really?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I know people who will walk over a bum.
I can tell you my counterpoint on it. I feel like animals in a lot of times, especially dogs, are the ones that we invite into our homes and have as family members.
Oops, sorry.
Sometimes they're more innocent than people on the street.
Man, this dude ain't that innocent.
Who?
My dog.
Okay, I see.
No, I'm saying like, yeah, it's a great dog, but the whole crux of his point is don't be the hero.
Right.
So he runs to the thing to be the hero.
Right.
Like all his dad was doing was cock blocking glory.
In a way, yeah.
He just wanted to be. He was a glory hound.
He wanted to be the hero.
Yeah.
But I mean, my big thing was he could Superman is faster than a speeding bullet. He could have gone out, saved him, either brought him back. It was a miracle. Who knows? Whatever.
Before his dad even put his hand up.
Right. Or
what is everybody looking at his dad in the middle of a friggin' tornado?
Right. Or
Give me a break.
Let the tornado grab him and then go into the tornado and save him and then pull him out and go right back to your spot. No one would have known. Everyone would have gone, oh my God, how did you do it? It missed me by like a foot. Who knows? Like just blah, blah, blah.
What dad doesn't go, save me.
Come save me, please. Yeah.
Like, I've never seen a guy so like
ready to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready to die. He's like, you know what? This is what the old gypsy told me. This is what's happening. I knew it was coming. This is the tornado she told me about.
Awesome.
But anyway, and then my final, big, huge plot, or I guess that was my first plot problem. The second one was, why does Clark go to a priest to ask, what should I do when Zod comes and says, I'm going to destroy this planet unless you go to your space dad, who you just found out. Go, hey, there's a guy, his name is Zod. Do you know anything about him? I know you have all of Kryptonian history.
Encompassing power.
Right, in this key that I was given. Anything you want to tell me about Zod? Oh yeah, he's a bad dude. Maybe you should send him into the Phantom Zone. Here's how you do it. Could have saved a lot of time. The final thing is Zod's plan is stupid. And here's why. I don't know if you know about the solar system, Bobby. You're smoking a lot of marijuana. But there's a planet called Mars, not too far off from Earth. If he wanted to colonize with the Codex, he could have been just like, give me the Codex. I will leave Earth. I will go to Mars. I will terraform Mars. And then I can attack Earth if I wanted to with all these super powered yellow sun Kryptonians that I've just grown from the Codex. And why does the bad guy need to tell the superhero? I know it's for the audience's benefit, but like, I'm going to destroy your world. Here in this, strange hallucination on the ship, you're going to see the bones of all the people. Because
he wanted him to join him, dude. He thought he was like one of them.
But he killed that man's father for that very reason. Why wouldn't he have the same?
He was planning on killing him to take all his blood. Oh no, because he didn't realize it was his blood yet.
Right.
It was tricks. It was military tricks.
Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids.
No, I think
so. Other than that, I do love that movie. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm the other thing too that I always wondered, especially Batman versus Superman, who taught Superman how to punch?
Yeah.
His dad obviously didn't.
Well, again,
he throws a mean left.
And that is what I do have to give both Batman, Superman, and Man of Steel. You finally see a Superman that fights somebody, like actually punches somebody. Because if there's anything wrong with Superman Returns, he doesn't hit a single person. There's no one who's his equal that he can hit. He just sort of creeps outside his ex-girlfriend's house, looking at her life with Cyclops and the kid. You know what I mean? Right. And I'm sort of going like, geez, he's a real whiny Superman. Yeah. And he's doing a really good Christopher Reeve impression. But other than that, again, it's another land deal, and it's not particularly a good one. Because who wants to live on that desolate rock that he's creating out of the Kryptonian crystals? But anyway, let's not talk about Superman Returns.
Yeah, I didn't even know what you were talking about.
Oh, Superman Returns.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
No, I watched that recently again. Yeah, it's just boring.
The only good thing is the airplane sequence. Mm-hmm. Him catching the airplane, you're going, okay, this is the only action that I care about, but I don't care about Lois Lane. I don't care about the kid.
I don't like Luthor.
Right, I don't care about Luthor. Like, I don't care about any of these people.
Although Parker Posey, shout out, because she was great in that.
Was she?
Yeah.
She's all right.
Yeah. Dude.
Everyone's adequate at best.
But she's just in a tough role where she's the 9th person on the call sheet.
Right.
And she's still giving also, everything she's got.
She's the girl Friday. She's,
she was great.
Lex Luthor. And
she was great.
Yeah.
But he wasn't Luthor to me.
No. You want to talk Batman v Superman?
Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, good. Real quick.
Yeah.
I love Man of Steel. Like, the more I watch it, and again, it's fucking Cavil.
I like Henry Cavill. I like Man of Steel very much. And I think Russell Crowe does a great job. I actually like Lois Lane in this, where it's like, yeah, she's not an idiot. She knows who Superman is.
I can't stand her.
Really?
I can't stand her.
She's the best Lois Lane I've seen. Are you a Margot Kidder person?
Pretty much anybody but her.
Really?
Okay. I'm a gal. I'm a tough gal.
Again, I think these actors are doing the best with what they're given, because you get to Batman v Superman and it opens with her, and she's been blindfolded, and her first question to a terrorist with guns are you a terrorist? I was like no, hello, no, like, we're going to start the interview. It was just like, ugh, why?
She's a problem. Lois Lane has always been a problem.
You could say that anybody with the initials LL is a problem for Superman. Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, Lana Lang. The list goes on. So,
Lana wasn't that much of a problem.
Well, it was an ex-girlfriend from back home. I'm sure she caused trouble.
Yeah, I'm sure she kept him distracted from saving a couple kittens.
In Smallville, yeah. So what are you going to do? Lucy Lane, who's also Lois Lane's sister.
And Lucy Liu,
who is just a big fan and is wonderful in Elementary.
Couldn't watch the movies anymore.
Which is on CBS
this fall.
But Batman v Superman is just... I don't know why Batman's really angry at him. There's a 1% chance that this guy could be an enemy, but so far he's been doing some pretty good things, except for murdering the alien and, again, Supermaning for the first time in 5 minutes. Here's my big question about Batman in that movie that maybe you have an answer for. Batman gets off of a helicopter to land in Man of Steel, the movie, and then he gets into his product placement car and drives around and calls a random guy who is obviously a moron to tell him to get the people out of the building, because I don't know if you've noticed, there are lasers and people flying about. Probably should get out of the building, but Obviously, I know the backstory. It's never said in the movie directly, but the backstory is like he hasn't been Batmaning for a while. He had retired being Batman.
I think he's like Christian Bale.
Right, exactly.
He's supposed to be Christian Bale.
Right, it's been 10 years since he's Batman. But he's got the Batwing, he's got the Batmobile, he's got the cowl.
Everything's fully operational.
Everything's like, I'm sure there's just a sheet over it in the Batcave. So I don't know why he flies on a helicopter to Metropolis in a 3-piece suit and drives around trying to help people. Why not get into the Batwing and try and help people, or take out the aliens,
or the Batmobile that you can drive through? Yeah.
Like, why are you trying? Like, why do you have the lights on your?
And why are you mad at the guy who was fighting the guy who was ruining everything?
Right.
That's what I truly can't understand.
Well, I think obviously at that point they are looking and going, I don't know who's good in this situation. All I see is two people, what look like humans, flying about for the first time, and then obviously, I mean, look.
One of them's in black.
That's true. That's obvious. So one's a black hat. But the thing, that even in the trailer, and the problem, my biggest problem with Batman v Superman also is the trailer led us to believe, first of all, it told us the entire plot of the movie before you saw it, but it led us to believe things were out of sequence in that movie, and the way they sequenced it up in the trailer is a better movie than what we got. The whole ending fight scene with Batman in the warehouse trying to save Clark's mom should have been at the beginning of the movie. We should have seen,
Batman in action.
Right, this is Batman in action on his own in Gotham. Again, which is only across the bay from Metropolis. I just can't imagine if the analogy which they used, which is, okay, if Metropolis is San Francisco, Gotham is Oakland. I can't imagine that if Superman lived in San Francisco, he'd go, yeah, I'm not going there. Whatever murder and rape and cats in trees that are happening.
Here.
I'm going to take care of the San Franciscans, the San Franciscites, and not worry about Oakland can take care of itself.
Right. Superman's racist.
Yeah, very much so. Like, what? Why wouldn't he help the people in Gotham? Why is he?
Well, you got to take the BART, and once you get over there, you don't even feel safe in the station.
Districtly, gerrymandering. He doesn't go outside of his district. So, very political. But yeah, I mean, the fact, like, again, I don't know why they're fighting.
Right.
I don't know why Batman's upset.
How I see it.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the Luthor thing.
Please, yeah.
This is all designed by Luthor.
Again, I do not know why Lex Luthor, or what he wants, or why he wants them to fight.
So Luthor sees Superman as the one thing in between him and world domination.
Interesting.
Is the one man who is physically strong enough, but Luthor believes he doesn't have his intellect.
So up until a man flew into the city, he was slowly plotting for world domination?
I believe so.
Okay.
He was playing basketball.
Right.
He had to try out for the
there was a
Grizzlies.
He loved Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently Grandma's peach tea.
Apparently. But we know that there was a Lex Luthor Sr.
Right.
Who
obviously
beat him or taught him that.
Exactly. Like beat him, and he says it during the toast. Mm-hmm. Oh, blah blah blah. My dad beat me.
Right.
He didn't give me stuff to protect myself.
Right.
And he says the one line, and again, like this is after the 5th time seeing it.
Right. And you've seen it 10 times.
He says, "Knowledge without power is nothing, and power without knowledge is nothing."
Right.
So what he seeks is to eliminate the two. If Batman fights Superman, one of them's going to die.
Right.
So I can have them fight each other.
So you're saying that Batman is the intellect and that Superman is the power.
Right.
Got it.
And if I can
because you could also say that Lex Luthor is the intellect without the power.
Exactly.
And he is either jealous, and I think you could see this in every Superman property, whatever it is that Lex Luthor is a genius. An evil genius,
right?
In some he builds himself up to be incredibly strong and buff. But no matter what he builds himself up to be, he will never be as physically strong as Superman.
And have people love him,
right?
A lot of it comes down to
you think Lex Luthor just wants to be loved?
Well, if you think about it psychologically, I think it's all a metaphor.
Well, look at that.
It's a metaphor, but again, it's those ridiculous plot points that they just throw in.
Right.
My dad beat me. Mm-hmm. Knowledge without power.
Right.
Martha.
Oof.
Like
let's not even. I think the internet knows by now that was a mistake.
And just like again, like that going back to what is DC doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that you guys don't think it's an anomaly that the writers had to do this.
Yeah.
Like historically through the comic book, like the ridiculousness of both of them having dead moms named having moms named Martha.
Right, but again, if you really want to go back to like comic book history of it, okay, Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster, who created Superman, were friends with Bob Kane, who later created Batman. I can't remember if it's Jerry or it's Joel, but one of their parents who owned a shop was shot and murdered, and after that he created Superman. And the whole idea was like, I guess, like, wouldn't it be great if there was a Superman who could stop bullets and was bulletproof and could save people?
Right.
Bob Kane heard that story from his friend and went, oh, well, why don't I make that the origin story, essentially, getting shot, the parents getting shot, and the child growing up to be Batman as the basis for my character. And I can't imagine if he stole that from him. And if anyone who knows who Bill Finger is, maybe he stole a couple other things. Maybe he said, "Oh, what did Jerry and Joel name the mother? Martha? Yeah, that's a good mom name, So I don't know if it was as arbitrary, or maybe it was more arbitrary than we think of some other guy going, "Oh, is that what they did? Yeah, let's just do that. It seems to work."
I think Robin's original name was supposed to be Lois Lane.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
And they just went, "Yeah, you might want to change that."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
yeah.
DC, and even since Marvel is become more Disneyfied, is they rely on certain plot points that are just like you can just see them a mile coming.
Right.
And again, those corporate environments, they become so much more, no pun intended, but cartoonized of like the sassy lady in Suicide Squad.
Right.
You all ain't gonna be protected. Like,
right.
It was so minstrel. Right. Of like this stereotypical character who is sassy and doesn't take no grief.
Right.
It's like, it's such... I know there's a crocodile guy in here.
You're
but
playing
it's
to
so...
the lowest common denominator
Right.
of an audience member, and I think... and I give it to Marvel because I think they try to be inclusive of everybody. They give people enough where if you read the comics or cartoons or whatever, you grew up with these characters, there's enough here for you to be like, that's them on screen. There's also enough on screen for people who've never seen this to go,
right.
What an enjoyable film.
Right.
And we're not playing to, the dumbest of us. We're playing to, okay, I think you can understand that Doctor Strange is basically a wizard of kind,
that was
the Sorcerer Supreme.
And basically created by guys on acid.
Right. And it's like, so take it for what it is.
Right.
And a highly enjoyable film.
Right.
Back to DC, I think they are trying to, again, I think a lot of directors, even going back to Burton, read The Dark Knight Returns and went, that's a metal Batman. That's a Batman who's at the end of his rope. Old Batman just snapping necks and taking names and fighting Superman.
Right.
Because up to that point, before who wrote Dark Knight Returns?
Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Yeah, Mark Paul Gosselaar from Saved by the Bell.
He saved it.
He saved it. He was great. Oh my God.
He did that during the college years.
People are gonna be screaming at me of like, everybody know Miller.
Bob Miller.
Yeah, no.
Dave Miller.
No.
Mike Miller.
No. Anyway, Miller
Bob
wrote.
Miller.
No, it's not Bob Miller. Anyway, it's Miller. I think wrote Dark Knight Returns.
No, it's George Miller.
No, he's a director. Hold on. I mean, if only we had
Dan Miller.
If only we had pocket computers.
Hold on.
In our. No, hold on.
Frank Miller. Boom.
Frank Miller. Thank you. Okay. Yes, Frank Miller.
Because I always used to get Frank Miller and George Miller confused.
Really?
So I was super confused when Mad Max came out. Mad Max,
right.
Watched 30 times.
Right.
It's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life, and I kept
You mean
thinking,
the new one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Fury Road.
The original's hard to get through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like Thunderdome, loved it as a kid. Watched it recently. It was like, huh.
Although I feel like they could have brought Tina Turner back.
I think you have to.
You kind of have to. Yep.
No, he's just a child.
Right.
That's my favorite line ever. Then he shoots him with the friggin' crossbow.
Well, speaking of George Miller, who almost did a Justice League movie during the writer's strike and in the middle of Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which, I mean, what you hear from it, it sounds like it would have been a killer movie.
I happen to have some insight into this, as I know somebody who is supposed to be in the cast.
Ooh, excellent.
And,
are you allowed to say anything, or is it?
I don't know if he'd care or not.
Okay.
But think about being cast as Superman, and
they went down to Australia. They were
trained.
They were in pre-production. They were ready to go.
Imagine you get to be Superman. You're one of 5 people in the history of the world who gets to play one of the. How many people have played Hamlet?
Millions.
How many people have played Othello?
Hundreds of thousands.
How many people have played Willy Loman?
A fair few.
3 have played Superman.
Are you not including George Reeves?
This is before Reeves.
One is Reeve. One is Reeves.
Reeves, and
there was another guy who was technically before George Reeve. I don't.
That
know
guy
his
don't
name.
count, man.
Yeah,
He's radio.
No, there was there in the serials.
Radios.
The radios, yeah.
The radios.
Non-talkies, or I guess they are talkies by definition.
But yeah, dude, he was Superman, and he was ready to be Superman, and then the writer's strike happened.
And they were just like, because like Adam Brody, who was hot off of the OC, was going to be Barry Allen, the Flash.
Right.
And from what I
Armie
hear,
Hammer was Batman.
And they keep floating him out as coming back as Batman. I don't know why.
On the Fly.
Yeah.
Lone Ranger, one of my top 20 favorite movies of all time.
What is wrong with you? You think that is a good movie?
And
you were talking.
I enjoy it more than nearly any movie I watch. I watch movies a lot in reruns.
All right, we have to get into that in a different episode because
problem.
I'm a Gore Verbinski like fan.
So much that you can barely say his
I'm
name.
I'm a Gorbachev fan, and
Tear down that wall.
Tear it down. But he and Johnny Depp together, I think, are a great team.
Rango, top 5 favorite movie.
Never seen it. But anyway, here's what I think we should do, because we've been talking a long time.
It's only been an hour and a half.
It's only been an hour and a half. I think we should stick with DC on this, and then our next episode, which we may or may not record next, will be...
I think we have.
Right, will be Marvel. So, as this is our inaugural...
Yes, the maiden voyage.
The maiden voyage.
The origin story.
Very much so, of Preppy and The Stoner podcast. Sup. Or... should I say, how do you do? Then,
and you can't see that he's tipping his proverbial top hat.
I am.
While holding his monocle.
And cane. So, I think we'll continue on the DC cinematic universe here for maybe another half hour.
Yeah, let's finish up Batman Superman.
Okay, and then the next episode will be everything
we'll
Marvel.
Get right into Marvel.
We'll talk Fox, we'll talk Sony, we'll talk
Deadpool.
We'll talk Disney. So, but yeah, so back to Batman v Superman.
So Batman vs Superman, Lex Luthor. It's all like supposedly designed by him. I mean, like he's got the lead casing for the dynamite, which doesn't make any sense because then he empowers Superman. Right. He empowers Superman. Like what he was doing was working.
Right.
He had made him quit.
Right.
And then by having him go to Congress and then blowing friggin' Congress up.
Yep.
There's no FBI investigations into this at all.
No. Isn't there a lot of DNA in that piss that's on? And how did he get so much? Like, he filled it to the top. Did he send it around the office? Go, guys, I got to go to the Senate real quick.
Who's got masking tape?
Yeah, everybody just keep filling it up. Should we talk to HR about this? No. Just keep filling it up. That's fine.
And how did he get it onto the bench when it was already full?
And why did Mercy Graves have to die? Like, that was his right-hand girl.
Everybody's expendable. Because apparently his dad was also Clark Kent.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you mean Jonathan Kent.
Jonathan Kent. Yeah, sorry.
They were both raised by Kevin Costner going, doesn't matter what you do. You could kill, you could murder, you could save everybody. You don't have to save anybody.
I don't care.
I'm going to die in this tornado because I'm ready to die.
Can't live with you people in this state anymore.
But if you need anything... come to the mountains, and you will see a hallucination of a story I guess I told you years ago that was relevant about
guess what?
Killing horses, murdering horses.
I'm also going to be working, so I won't have time to give you my undivided attention.
Right.
In your time of need, son.
Yeah. Again, why did he go to fictional Earth Dad or Ghost Dad.
There's a reason he didn't go to Ghost
I'm sorry.
Dad.
There's a reason now that he didn't go to Ghost Dad. But
Don't drink anything.
No, exactly. We'll cut that out.
No
we
way.
won't. We won't. Zippity zappity, I'm a monster. Anyway, but again, like, so he's completely cut off from Space Dad, Jor-El, because he blew up the key, he blew up everything's in the Phantom Zone. So he doesn't have a fortress of solitude. He has nothing.
He doesn't have any knowledge. He doesn't have any way to communicate with anybody. He's alone. And his girlfriend keeps getting him into trouble.
And I keep harping on Superman the movie, but they really do hit plot points where there's a different actor with Christopher Reeve's voice and a fake nose that goes up to or creates the Fortress of Solitude. And then he spends the next, 10 or 15 years to become Superman and goes through training with Ghost Dad to become both knowledgeable. So in my opinion, he probably learned how to fight there. He read about knowledge. He knew about, human anatomy. He became highly intelligent. He basically went to college.
Right.
But like Kryptonian college.
The way Batman went to school.
Yes, exactly. How did Batman go
I
to
mean,
school?
like through Ra's al Ghul. And,
right.
Like I kind of, with Batman, I always sort of stick to the Chris Nolan ones.
Right. Some would say Raish. I know in that movie it's Raz, but it's some would say Raish Al Ghul.
Well, like how you say Ibiza.
Right, of course.
Depending on where you are, it's how it's.
Who's the preppy now? So anyway, Batman.
It was in Entourage. Again, that was on the other.
Oh, very nice. Why? Back to Batman v Superman. I know we keep jumping off it because it's so interesting.
Wonder Woman by far
the greatest part of the movie.
I'm excited for Wonder Woman.
I'm very excited for Wonder Woman.
Very excited.
And that it's a different director. I'm sort of, and look, I'll give Zack, I think Zack Snyder's a fine director. Again, back to, I think, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Everyone goes, wouldn't it be, this is the pinnacle. This is what we want. And if anyone ever makes The Dark Knight Returns into a movie, they're going to be very confused because a lot of it is in Batman v Superman.
Right.
But I feel like he read the cliff notes of that, and then on the day he gets there and goes, wouldn't it be cool if, and nobody says, no, don't do that.
I like that Jay Leno was...
wouldn't it be cool if, Jay, I don't know if it is, I think we're going to do it.
I think maybe you should go work on your cars.
Yeah, okay. But I think he does, I think like Watchmen is good. I think...
Oh, see, I can't, it's...
Really?
Oh,
but he's literally following panel by panel of what that...
But it's a comic book.
It's
you're a filmmaker.
It's a graphic novel.
You're a filmmaker.
Right.
Like, make it into a film.
Right.
But, like, Watchmen, it's just boring. It's just boring.
It. Yeah. Well,
you like it because you look like Birdman.
I look exactly like him. I do not look like Owlman at all.
Not Owlman.
Oh.
Who's the bad guy?
Oxycontin. Yeah, Oxycontin, the bad guy. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yes, I look just like him. I was like, I don't look like Owlman. I'm not.
Come on, that's a compliment. That's a good-looking dude.
He's a good-looking dude, but I'm not that fat as he is in that movie. And even chunky him is still like dreamy, right? God damn.
It's you got the same sparkle in your hair.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
But here's my take on it.
Please.
Is Zack Snyder hates Superman. Zack Snyder hates Superman. He hated him in Man of Steel. Mm-hmm. He took away the goody two shoes part of it, and they're like, "Oh, Superman, he's too goody two shoes." So what?
I think you can throw David Goyer in there as well.
Okay.
As a writer, I think he hates the pure goodness of what Superman is. Where if you look, again, I know we said we do this in the next episode. If you look at what Chris Evans does as Captain America, that is what we want in our Superman.
Exactly.
That's the home like Age of Ultron, when he goes language, that's Superman.
Right.
As much as it is Captain America. Right. You know what I mean? We want that and
it's that earnestness.
That earnest boy from middle America, Kansas.
Right.
But he's not that in these movies. And again, Henry Cavill's doing a great job with the
words he got.
The crap he's been given, in my opinion. But again, I don't know how he can come from the North Pole and catch Lois Lane, but he can't scan with his super hearing, his super smell, his super, X-ray vision to find his mom. And for a guy who has not been hit by anything kryptonite, by the time he gets to Batman, he could from far away with a very loud voice go, "Bruce Wayne, I know you're Bruce Wayne."
Right.
I need your help.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, even
Right.
before he lands.
Right. He could stay in the air and
Hey,
go,
man.
hey, I
Yo,
do not...
dude.
Right. I have a problem and I need your help. He's holding my mother hostage. Her name is Martha.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
if, I don't know if that does anything for you.
Martha?
But I don't want my mom to die, who's
Right.
an Earth...
Can you please help me?
Who's a human from Earth.
Right.
Can you help me? He wants me to kill you. I'm not that person.
Right. And Superman would never be so mad at Batman that he would want to kill him.
Right.
Ever.
Right. And
Like,
here's
he would never be looking to kill him.
Here's a huge plot point that I do not understand. So Batman has set this up, and it's very Dark Knight Returns, where he's got the machine guns, he's got the sound
Right.
device, and he shoots the grenade with the weaponized kryptonite into Superman's face.
Air
Air
passages.
pockets. And Superman obviously had never dealt with kryptonite up until this point. So he doesn't know that he's weakened. He goes in for a full swing punch at Batman. If he still had his powers, he would have murdered him right there. He would have punched him into space. He did not know that he was weak at that point until Batman blocks that punch and there's that wry smile of, I got you.
Right.
And again, it wears off, and Superman is so dumb. He's so dumb in this that he gets shot in the face yet again.
Right.
He saw it. Like, he is faster than a speeding bullet.
Again, cold breath.
Yeah, just whoosh, you're frozen. He could have done that at the very beginning, frozen Batman into place and gone, hey, I got a real problem. This Lex Luthor wants me to cut your head off. I'm not going to do that. Will you help me find my mom?
Right.
And then he could have used his heat vision to warm him back up.
Don't you know an old guy somewhere who's really good with a computer who can pinpoint exactly where my mom is and how many bad guys are on the level that...
Yeah, but this particular old man is kind of wiry and not into this at all. He's kind of angry. Dresses
He's a little
well.
sassy.
He's very sassy.
He's sassy.
So again, and the fact that they not only did, I mean, they basically did Dark Knight Returns.
Right.
They brought Batman back into it. They did the death of Superman and Doomsday.
Right.
So like, you couldn't even have that as a later thing.
Also,
Yeah.
what was Luthor's endgame?
That's what I've
With
been
the
asking.
monster.
That's what I've been asking you.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
What is the endgame?
Well, we know if we watch the deleted scene of this CGI character handing out mother boxes that Steppenwolf from Apocalypse, who I think is supposed to be the bad guy
Right.
in Justice League, was sort of controlling Luthor or giving him this as like a general on Earth, or, you know, I know in cartoons and stuff, you know, Apocalypse will talk to an Earthling, whether it's a gangster or something, and go, do all this stuff for me and I'll make you a king.
Right.
I'll make you the king and you only answer
So like
to me.
Thanos and Loki.
Very much so. You can have Earth, but you answer to me. Great.
Right.
I'll take it. You know, as long as I'm a king in my realm.
But is Apocalypse the thing that killed Superman?
No.
What's that? Deathstroke?
Doomsday.
Doomsday.
Yeah.
What was his endgame with Doomsday? He either kills Batman or Superman.
Or both of them. And then what?
Right, exactly.
Now there's a giant monster running loose, and the only thing
Sorry.
Yeah. No, the only thing that could have killed him just got killed by it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Is he going to listen to you like a puppy? Like your pit bull when you're trying to take him off a poodle?
Well, it's weird because there's the whole thing of like he cuts his hand and the DNA into the goo or
Right.
whatever. So is it like and obviously Doomsday's been born out of what Zod was with Lex Luthor's DNA. So, but it goes to attack Lex Luthor. You know what I mean?
Right.
But does Lex Luthor look at this as like, this is my child?
Right.
And it will never attack.
And what
its
child
father.
ever listens to its parents?
It never does.
Except for me and you.
Very much so. So anyway, so they kill a guy who was only introduced a movie ago, who's supposed to be the leader, essentially, of your cinematic universe.
Right.
And again, I think you're right. I think, in some ways, Zack Snyder hates Batman, or hates Superman.
Hates Superman.
But the minute someone said, you get to play with this toy, it's Batman, he goes, I get to play with Batman?
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like everybody loves Batman. And I understand why. He's a very complex character, and it makes sense in this sort of moody aloneness or whatever. And people go, yeah, but Superman has his Earth parents or whatever, but he's the... Sorry, my stomach. He's the only person in the world who can do what he does. He is so alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's a big thing with superheroes is what makes them different, makes them feel alone. As much as they try to help humanity, they're alone.
And yet they're everywhere around them.
Right.
And I guess that's sort of the crux of Justice League because and sort of slightly going back to Man of Steel and going into Batman vs. Superman is what I think is the problem is it seems to be extremely complex psychological storytelling.
Right.
And the problem is it doesn't ring true.
Right. And they're trying more than anything to make it ring true, to go, no, this is what it would be like if it really happened.
Right. This is why.
Right.
This is why Superman isn't. No,
Because
man.
essentially,
Like,
Man of Steel is an alien invasion movie.
yeah, completely.
You know what I mean? It's not a superhero. I mean, it is an origin story. It is a superhero movie. But this is what...
It's not a Superman movie.
No. It's a rival in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Again, a wonderful Amy Adams film. And you love Amy Adams. So...
If I got to tell anybody, if you only have 2 hours left on Earth, watch anything with Amy Adams in it because it'll take forever.
I don't agree with that. I actually like Amy Adams. But... where was I going?
Although I did like her in American Hustle. Sorry.
Well, there you go. Okay, not a
It's
great.
a start. It's a start. I'm trying. I'm not. I don't want to be like this.
Not a great movie.
Yeah, but
the acting is good.
sometimes that's all of it.
That's all of it. So, Batman v Superman. We've got an angry Batman for who knows what. We've got a dumb Superman for, again, who knows what. We've got a Wonder Woman that we're like, more of this, please, and I guess we're getting it later this year.
Right.
And then we've got a Lex Luthor who I want to rule the world, but it's a pretty complex plan to figure out why, and I don't know what my end game is with this giant monster I've created.
And what is also the end game with the Flash and with the Cyborg and the Aquaman files?
Right.
Are these people that he's pinpointed and identified as people he has to eliminate?
We don't know. We don't know, but we do know that he sent down to the Photoshop department at LexCorp, hey, I've got these videos. Can you design symbols for all of them? And
what
the
logos
dates,
are we working with?
Yeah, and logos for them and the dates their movies come out in the future. That's how I want to open them. And I guess Cyborg and Flash and Aquaman went, good symbols. I like these. We're gonna adopt these. I mean, he's not a good guy, Lex Luthor, but man, he photoshops like you wouldn't believe.
In the comic book, I believe, I could be way wrong, but in the comic book, I believe Flash was blonde.
Yes. In the original, he's blonde.
It really upsets me.
That he's not blonde.
I can't understand it.
Well, it's funny, in the Flash TV show, and I like all the DC shows that are on CW, he's not blonde either, and I watched the pilot, and I went, well, Barry Allen's supposed to be blonde, Wally West is supposed to be a redhead. Barry Allen has dark hair in the TV show, and Wally West is African, or I guess he's African English, whatever that is. He's a black gentleman, and you know what? Doesn't bother me at all. They're wonderful. Right. You know what I mean? So I think I can let it go with Ezra Miller.
And the electricity, I don't like.
No,
I don't think. To me, Flash doesn't use electricity to run. He's just fast, dude.
I think how fast he is creates the electricity, but
could be
something.
But wouldn't it create?
Well, before we get into Justice League, do we want to talk Suicide Squad? Is it even worth?
I don't think it's worth it.
No.
Let's talk the first 20 minutes because then I fell asleep.
Okay.
And
I saw it.
Mad.
This is going to sound very preppy. I saw it with my family while I was on vacation in Spain.
Oh.
Yes. So
in Ibiza?
No, we were in Barcelona. So in Barcelona, which we didn't quite enjoy as much as everybody said how wonderful Barcelona is.
I'm with you. Madrid, amazing.
Never
Barcelona?
been. It was our first time in Spain, and everyone said, oh, Barcelona is great. Now, we are not drinkers or smokers, as you might know, so we didn't, and again, who wants to party with your family? So we didn't, oh yeah, of course you do. So we didn't go, like, hit the town and go clubbing, you know what I mean? Right. I'm with my parents and my sister. So we didn't thoroughly, so we went and saw...
A lot of good museums.
Yeah, very nice museum. Dali.
Goya.
Dali.
Dali.
So we saw...
Picasso.
Yeah, I guess there are a few good ones in there.
I enjoyed Barcelona.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy it as much as Madrid or Ibiza.
Really? And I feel like Madrid is apparently one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And Lisbon. Lisbon's amazing.
Very nice.
I like Amsterdam, too. Oh,
I bet you do. Anyway. Red Light District is very nice and clean.
At this time of year?
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you know. So, Suicide Squad. So I saw it in a Spanish theater with Spanish subtitles, but anytime that what's the witch's name? What's her character?
Carla Devine.
Yeah, whatever her character was, who knows anymore. She spoke in her weird ancient language. The subtitles were still Spanish, so I didn't get a lot of what. And I'll be honest, I took 5 years of Spanish in high school. didn't retain much. But then when I got back, I could actually conversationally like get through it. They're like, oh man, he's trying. All right,
Yeah.
but we know sort of what he's saying. It's not the right tenses or the right use of it. He's saying,
it's funny, like you don't think how how we always laugh at like foreigners who like me think go where
right.
And you're like you go over there
right. But that's probably exactly
how you sound.
Me have this, please. You know, it's like, oh yeah, sure.
Adorable.
He's trying. We're adorable, but at least he's trying.
Hey, is that the guy from Watchmen?
That is the guy from Watchmen. Is that Oxycontin? But yeah, I mean, basically, I loved, and I like David Ayer as a director.
What else he done?
He did Fury, which was the tank movie. All right, not a fan.
What else was Amy Adams in that?
Amy Adams was in that. She was the Brad Pitt.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right.
No, I like that movie. I like Fury.
I thought it was rough.
Clap, clap, clap. He did End of Watch with Jake Gyllenhaal, which I haven't seen, but
really
everybody says is
that was really good.
Yeah, and then he's done a slew of other ones.
Okay.
So I had high hopes for this, and I think everybody did, especially with the trailer. And you're thinking, oh, the soundtrack and the trailer, like it all sort of mashes up. And again, you're gonna see, Harley Quinn, which is a character you've never seen on screen before, Killer Croc, like all these.
And she's phenomenal.
Yeah,
and like in the trailer, it's like, oh my god.
Right, and then you're like, I guess when that first Joker, picture came out, you're like, it's a little hot topic. I don't know what this is going on, but I want to see Harley Quinn and the Joker together. And look, he's coming off of an Oscar. He's obviously a good actor.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to be Doctor Strange, and I'm like, wow, what a perfect Doctor Strange.
Oh, really? Because I like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah,
I thought he did
it was
a good job.
before Cumberbatch.
Right.
Like he was the name.
He was the name. Okay.
And I was like, that's friggin' genius.
That'd be cool.
I think he would have been a better Doctor Strange because that was the worst Joker I've ever seen.
I think with what he was given, and I think a lot ended up on the cutting room floor, I think most of the movie, or whatever the original David Ayer version was darker, less funny, and it was a Deadshot movie mixed in with, oh God, what's the comic book and the cartoon called? No, it's Something Love. Anyway, it's the story of how Harley Quinn became Harley Quinn with the Joker. I forget what it is. Sorry, internet, just yell at me, and I'll hear it later. And basically, I think a lot of it was that, and the minute that Will Smith, who is a bona fide movie star, became Deadshot.
And you almost forgot that he was in the movie until you see the movie, and then you're like, it's way too much of him.
Well, and I think that's what it became. I think probably Warner Bros. Goes, we've got Will Smith, and then obviously Margot Robbie, and Jared Leto to an extent.
I think.
But but let's make this about Margot Robbie and Will Smith, and let's cut down on all the other people.
I felt like they didn't focus on Will Smith at all. I thought it was all Margot Robbie and the and then like the action. I'm just saying.
What action? Just
like the helicopters and this, and then
it was all trivial, and it ended with the same thing we've been doing since Ghostbusters, which is giant blue light in the sky.
Right.
And like we get it.
And that was Avengers.
Yeah.
Like.
I mean, look, we could make a list of how many giant blue light in the sky movies
and
there
are. How many of these comic book movies all have the same plot line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like Suicide Squad was a appreciative attempt.
It was trying to be a Magnificent Seven,
but the
Dirty
Joker
Dozen, whatever. Yeah,
was horrible.
Again, I don't think he even got a chance to be
disagree.
the Joker.
I think it was a horrible Joker. That's not the Joker. The Joker isn't a
gangster.
No, he's not a 1950s gangster.
Well, I mean, you could argue that he was in 1989 Batman with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, but he was a gangster before then.
Right. That's
who became king of the gangsters.
Right.
Like Jared Leto wasn't anything before he became that version. He was a crazy person, right?
Well, I guess we don't know. We catch up to him when
he's crazy asylum.
In the crazy asylum.
And
but he's already the Joker.
For some reason, this girl who's a top 10 Playboy model, got her degree in dealing with psycho people.
Right. Yeah, no worries. Bobby's gone off to get his shoes, so I will get on my soapbox now. His feet are freezing in here. Because again, he's only wearing his boxers and a beanie. But again, I think, and Jared Leto or Leto, whatever it is, has said, people go, what happened to the Joker? And he goes, yeah, what happened to the Joker? Because he did a whole bunch of stuff. And I know whatever.
I'm not booing the effort.
Right. Well, I know whatever your process is, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to be.
Execution.
Yeah, and I think that was studio, director, and actor combined.
I think he was on his own again. Yeah. Applaud the effort.
Right.
But and I agree with you. The writing is what put him in the situation he is. That he's a gangster and.
Because they want to make him like like he said he used to look at Instagram gangsters for like the teeth and the tattoos and this and that, and
like update it and try to make it this contemporary villain.
Again, everything is what if it was today, where I think everyone's pretty on par to say that Heath Ledger's Joker he was a terrorist,
right?
And what do we do with this terrorist who we can't stop him? He has no plan.
Right.
I mean, he does. We get to the
that's the thing is everything is unbelievably planned out for a guy who's all about chaos.
Right.
Everything down to the second is planned out.
Right.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
But I think, and
but
maybe
when do these bad guys and superheroes, I don't know, sleep, eat, go to the bathroom? You know what I mean? It's like
in the suit.
Did Heath Ledger's Joker ever go?
Take a shit.
All right, we're gonna go. My stomach. I gotta go.
I should not have had that taco.
Right. You want to know why I ate this taco? But
you want to know how I got this stain on my pants?
Right. So,
but anyway. I think with Ledger's Joker, is when I was a kid. And I always heard the term anarchy, and punk rock was kind of on its way out, but anarchy was a big part of it.
And this was 1942?
48.
Okay, got it.
Right after they stopped talking about talkies.
Gotcha. Talkies were all
the rage.
They were all the rage, and now they're out. Now it's about anarchy.
And I never really understood the word. I kind of got it and stuff like that. And his version of the Joker was the best explanation of what anarchy is.
Right. Just scaring people and making a city shut down, essentially, because you don't know who's in his employ, you don't know what's going on.
And how easy it is.
Right.
Like, it was the best amalgam for life, for society.
Right, because he said, look, fire and gas are cheap.
Right.
I can change everything in a day.
Right.
I can kill a mayor and make an entire city just freak out.
Right. Bring it to that scene with Two-Face is just, it's everything you want
in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, and then him walking out, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's all about that anarchy. It's not about the outrageousness of the character.
Right.
To me. And I didn't see The Killing Joke. I didn't watch all the cartoons. My stuff was basically from comic book to film screen.
Film, right.
So there's a lot of story that I'm going into it fresh and new.
Right.
And just with that version of the Joker and Suicide Squad, it just to me flat out doesn't work. And the silliness of their quote unquote love story, it just completely didn't work.
Right.
And it was and everybody, the fire dude was friggin' phenomenal.
He stole the movie a little bit from me. That guy was great.
The racist crap,
Yeah. But again, I think all those guys, Slipknot, which is the character that gets killed in the first 5 seconds.
8 minutes.
It was I think that's basically what they would have loved to have done with the rest of them. Oh, by the way, it's Enchantress. It just came to me. Thank you, Internet. Her name was Enchantress. And she was doing some sort of Boris Karloff, hello, I don't know what.
And the Scarlet Witch. I just saw it 2 movies ago from
Civil War?
Avengers, yeah. And then she's in Civil War coming up. Mm-hmm. I already saw this character, and now you put her in the good guy squad, and she's the bad guy. The most inept group of military and government people I've ever seen, which I buy, but...
Yeah. Did Scott Eastwood's character die? Was that a suicide mission when he...
I don't even remember, dude. I fell asleep.
All right, that's right. You fell asleep.
It was friggin' awful.
Anyway, it's not a great movie.
No, and I think the worst part, the most disappointing part was Harley Quinn was amazingly underwhelming.
Right. Again, she wasn't given enough to do.
But my expectations going in were yo, like I'm gonna fall in love with her again.
Right, and it didn't happen.
And almost the same thing in Tarzan was
which I did not see.
pretty good.
Yeah,
like enjoyable, but like,
do we care about Tarzan anymore?
No.
Can we just like retire that? Like we get it.
It's just like a racist analogy for living in Detroit.
Right. That's right, Detroit. You just got stoned.
Suck it, Detroit.
Bobby was born and raised in Detroit. No one can see me winking.
No, it's
Okay.
true.
All right.
I can though.
Yeah.
So if nobody's perfect, then that makes me nobody.
Po Buddy's perfect.
So I think on the whole, flat out miss with Suicide Squad.
I mean, David Ayer is getting a second go at it essentially with Gotham City Sirens, which is basically going to be just Harley Quinn,
And,
which is
like,
kind of what you want.
Poison Ivy, I guess.
Poison Ivy.
Chicks, like, fine. Good. They just made Bridesmaids the comic book movie. Like, great. Melissa McCarthy's going to be the Toad.
But there's talk about, Joss Whedon doing a Batgirl
Yeah.
standalone, so maybe Batgirl will be in there. Like, who knows? Like, I mean, obviously they're all supposed to be interconnected with this shared universe. If we just backpedal a little bit back to all the Jokers we've seen, I think I saw something online. It was like all of the Jokers, and they all had something under them. So Cesar Romero's, it just said the clown. With Jack Nicholson's, it said the gangster. With Heath Ledger's, it said the anarchist. With I can't remember what Jared Leto's was, but it was like the thug or something like that. And then it had Mark Hamill's Joker, and it just said the Joker.
Right.
And it's pretty true. Like when I think of the Joker, as great as Heath Ledger was, as great as Jack Nicholson was, the seminal Joker for me is Mark Hamill's cartoon Joker, and it's just pitch perfect because he can be evil, he can be all the things the other guys are, and if you gave Mark Hamill the lines from any of the movies or the Batman 66 show, you believe it.
Right.
He's just phenomenal. So that's my Joker.
Yeah, totally. Mine will always be Ledger.
Well, I'll tell you,
like just because I mean, that was just the best performance. Like, you talk about Leto. Like, Ledger wrote like he was the Joker. I mean, like
he directed the footage when he steals the news crew and the other guys who dress up as Batman.
Right.
That was him. He wrote all that. He directed it all. And Chris Nolan said, "Let me see the first one." Oh yeah, it's great. And then he didn't even monitor him on the second one.
Yeah, like that. It's just
he had a voice for it,
man, and just saw it and because like if you really take Ledger out of the series, it's kind of schlocky.
Right.
I talk like this.
Right.
Then you got two different Rachels. One, the ugliest friggin' woman I've ever seen in my life.
That'll be cut. It's all going to be cut.
Yeah.
She's obviously listening to this. You're fine.
I cheered when Rachel blew up in Dark Knight. I was like, good.
Really?
Good.
Good. She's gone.
Good. Totally. Ugh. How could I understood Rachel Dawes in Batman Begins.
Right.
She was smoking. She was tough. She was taking on the Scarecrow.
In case you didn't know which actress Bobby didn't like, I think he just revealed it.
I thought Katie Holmes was a great Rachel Dawes.
Really? All right. Again, I actually liked what's her name better.
Defend yourself.
Acting wise, I think she's a better actress.
It's the Rico trial. Yeah, we'll get him on Rico.
Look,
hey, Bruce.
I'm sorry.
I think. Oh God, I couldn't take 1 second of her on screen, man.
Heath Ledger just has to be with every Gyllenhaal every so often. That's all I know. You know what I mean?
The least believable line I've ever heard in my life
is
when he breaks into the party for Harvey, and he's like, "Oh, Rachel Dawes, and you are beautiful." Like. I didn't.
So you have a real
It's the only time in the movie I didn't believe the Joker. I believed him when on every other line, it just. And you are beautiful.
Jeez.
No, she's not. Come on, dude.
I don't think she's nearly as bad as you're making out.
Dude, you could play tennis on her head.
Oh my God. Let's move on from this conversation.
I like Jake, though. He's pretty dope. Prince
cool.
Persia's not as bad as it should be.
I like Prince of Persia as well. It kind of feels like a Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
A little bit.
Yeah, which I like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Whenever they're on, I'll watch them and enjoy them.
Really? Well, what's your order?
I don't have one. I don't even know which ones are which.
Oh, mine is 1, 4, 3, 2.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and I'm looking forward to this number 5 one. I know we're way off topic, but my only worry is that in the trailer, there is a literal ghost shark that jumps over them, and I'm wondering, have they jumped the shark? Because there is a shark that is jumping over them.
This
so we'll
is
see.
a production that winks upon itself.
Real hard wink, but
What's his name?
Johnny Depp?
Is it Jeffrey Jones?
Jeffrey Rush?
Yes. Man, that's a great villain.
Yeah.
That dude's a great villain.
He's more just like
an
antagonist, but like a worthy adversary.
Yeah.
Like obviously in the first one he's the villain, but they're like he's so good. And I think both Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush have said, you know what? If either of these guys ever sort of stopped and like looked at it, they could be really good friends and work really well together.
Right.
But they can't. Like that's the big problem. And
like Mick Jagger and
Keith Richards.
Yep. Like that's funny. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, I would like to go through as we wrap this up because we're at the 2-hour mark.
We're at the 2-hour mark.
Let's wrap this up with a few of our favorite and least favorite things in the movie world.
In the movie world.
Yes. Would you like to start or would you like to
please
acquiesce? All right. I'm going to start with my favorite movie or the one that I'm going to recommend at this point for everybody to go see.
Please.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Phenomenal movie.
It's just a perfect movie from front to back. I feel like from pre-production to post-production and everything in between. It's just a perfect movie. It's comedy. Coen Brothers. George Clooney at the top of his powers. John Turturro, top of his powers.
It was wonderful.
Tim Blake Nelson, top of his powers. I didn't even know he had.
John
everything.
Goodman. I mean, you could tell if we want to talk
Charles
about
Durning.
Yeah, Charles Durning
with like the best performance.
Yeah.
So
since Little Whorehouse, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Exactly. Or Tootsie.
Tootsie. Oh, he's great in Tootsie too. He's just a good actor.
Completely.
Or he was. May he rest in peace. No, Oh Brother, We're Out There is a phenomenal movie. And if you like Greek mythology and you like the Odyssey at all, you're going to get a lot of references from this
movie. With a sprinkling of the Three Stooges.
Very much so. And I like the music.
Incredible.
I think the music is great. And I'm not like whatever that
country
style,
music,
country, bluegrass, folk.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not my style of music, but I am the man. I'm like, yes, perfect, great. You know what I mean?
What's your favorite?
My favorite movie of all time is actually, it's from the 1960s called It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Of course.
And a lot of people don't know it. It's got every great comedian in it from basically the 40s to, the 60s.
Their modern
day. And I hate to say this because it's the only way I can get people to understand it. It's like Rat Race if Rat Race were
a good
movie and funny from start to finish.
Right. And had like Cosby and at that time.
Maybe not Cosby. Yeah. But like had every great comedian. Right. You had Sid Caesar, Milton Berle, Mickey Rooney, Ethel Merman, Dick Shawn. Is Henny Youngman in that? Is he? Who's he play? I can't remember.
I think he's got a scene.
Does he? Well, Three Stooges are cameoed in it. Carl Reiner's in it.
Henny Youngman might not be in it, but I think he is.
I don't know if Henny Youngman's
Jimmy Durante, that's who I'm thinking
Jimmy Durante is a huge plot point in it. And it's
the incredible, the most incredible talkie metaphor I've ever seen put to life in a movie.
It's brilliant.
It is a brilliant
movie.
And
we won't spoil it because you should go out and see it.
Who directed it?
Stanley Kramer, who is best known for his dramas. So basically, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? I think Trial at Nuremberg, I believe he did. And everyone said, yeah, you're great at this. So, and again, basically his muse he used was Spencer Tracy, who's also in it. And people said, Stanley Kramer, you cannot do a comedy. He goes, want to bet? And he goes, I'm going to do the best comedy ever made. And in my opinion, it's the best comedy ever made.
Awesome.
And, I've seen interviews. Carl Reiner says they had an entire script of just the dialogue and a separate entire script of just the business that they had to do. So all the action. So it's a 3-hour movie. It has an intermission, but it is literally laugh riot from the minute it starts to the very second it ends. So I really, really recommend it.
All right. Least favorite movie.
Least favorite movie. You go first because this is hard for me. I don't know what my least.
I'm going Juno.
Really?
If I could punch a movie in the face until it stopped breathing and not get arrested,
Juno?
It's Juno.
Like,
and then Up in the Air is a close second.
So you just hate everything that he does.
I think it's more everything that she writes.
Really? Because I think those are both good movies.
Really? Defend yourself.
I don't know. Like Juno's a coming of age story. I think Ellen Page is
for a 40-year-old lesbian. I don't like that movie is.
So you'll suspend your disbelief on.
I can see a guy coming out of the sky, living amongst us for 30 years, becoming Jesus,
but not Ellen Page getting pregnant.
Not by Michael Cera.
Defend yourself. Why can Michael Cera not do this?
I think he'd be too nervous.
Super point. Why?
I think Michael Cera would be too nervous. She's too sassy for him. He can't put up with that kind of dialogue. No, I just think that movie was...
you just thought it was like a critical
over-publicized.
For no reason?
For some reason at the end, spoiler alert, what's his name? Jason Bateman's a friggin' pedophile.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. What? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't bad enough that he was this garbage husband.
But Jennifer Garner gets the baby. Spoiler alert.
Right.
For Juno.
I mean, dude, the dialogue, and then the dialogue up in the air.
Really.
And then.
They were both nominated for many Oscars, if I
recall.
Because
that's always been an arbiter. How many people today? I'm like, you remember that great scene in Crash? None.
Which one?
When that dude stuck his hand up Thandie Newton, Matt Dillon, and then later saved her in a car crash. Get out of here.
Full circle,
jerk.
All right.
Movie stunk.
Bobby, it's getting to be 2 hours, and now he's getting real racy and real angry.
All right, what's your least favorite movie?
A movie I recall walking out of was Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects. I can put up with a lot, and I like a lot of movies, but that movie I walked out of, I was like, this is pornographic and more of a smut film, kind of like a what's the one where they kill somebody in a film? Snuff film.
Right.
That's what it felt like.
Right.
Like there's a lot of murder, a lot of sexual, and this is terrible.
It's like the guy who dropped out of Tim Burton's art school film class.
Right. He goes, I'll do that, but to the extreme. Right. And I was
with
just
this video camera.
So yeah, Devil's Rejects is probably my movie of worst film ever.
Least favorite genre?
Horror. I hate horror. I don't even know why I saw Devil's Rejects. I think it was one of those afternoon. I don't know if
under lights.
And I was like, yeah, I guess I'll see it. You know what it was? A friend of mine from high school's father was in it he was a character actor, and it was. I even ran into him. I said, "Oh, I saw Devil's Rejects." He goes, "Why?" So even he's
he just handed you $12.
Yeah, he's like, "Here you go. I'm so sorry."
Did you get popcorn? Here's 15.
Yeah, exactly. And
you're like, it's 18.
Horror is my least favorite genre, just because. I'm
got no need for it.
I'm a wuss. I get nightmares, and here's the thing. I think you and I have studied enough to film to understand when the music drops out in a horror film, that's when the scare is coming, and the music and the jump scare is gonna real quick. So I know when it's coming, and still I'm like, no, can't do it. What's your least favorite genre?
Mine's either foreign because I don't like reading movies.
That's because you can't read.
Let's publicize that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that not something everybody knew?
I was hoping.
Okay.
That or romantic comedies. I don't know if there's anything in the world that makes me angrier than romantic comedies.
Have you watched any Nancy Meyer films?
Not without punching some 72-year-old woman sitting next to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I love almost every Nancy Meyer film.
You do not?
I
Come
do.
on.
I 100% do.
Do you watch them when you're in first class?
Very much so.
When we're heading over to the Hamptons.
Something's Got to Give and It's Complicated are almost two perfect movies.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm 100%. And you know what it is?
You are the first person I have ever heard say this.
Really? Because I've heard it from a lot of...
Older Jewish women?
No, it's usually like random white guys. And women will go... Why do alpha white guys like these Nancy Meyer movies? And I think it's because someone like Alec Baldwin and Jack Nicholson are these sort of definition alpha males. And to see them sort of funny but get the girl in the end or not get the girl in the end depending on the movie. Woman, sorry. You're right, you can't say girl anymore. These women, it's I don't know, it's just thoroughly enjoyable, and there's
spectacular.
Only a couple movies.
That is spectacular. Yeah. That is I'm very surprised.
I bet.
Pretty awesome.
I even like The Intern with Anne Hathaway, and
I'm shutting off your mic.
It's not my favorite out of the Nancy Meyer films, but again, Robert De Niro. You don't get more alpha male than Robert De Niro.
At 82 years old, we're not talking Taxi Driver De Niro. We're talking
he
De
drives
Niro
a car
after a prostate exam.
I'll take that. I'll take my De Niro any way I can get him. I'll take my Jack Nicholson anyway. He has a heart attack in that one. In Something's Gotta Give.
I got a heart attack. Now some ladies got to teach me how the world works.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
All right.
Nancy
I'm sorry.
Myers.
All right.
I'll accept Mike Myers.
That's fair. The Spy Who Shagged Me is a phenomenal film.
Quite.
Yeah.
Truth be told, because my favorite genre is comedy.
As is mine.
And I always get grief for this because Norbit's one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Really?
No doubt.
Defend yourself. Maybe the podcast should be called Defend Yourself because we seem to be a lot. So go ahead. Defend yourself. Not that I've seen it. I mean, that's the other problem.
See, that's what drives me nuts. It's a punchline that nobody's watched.
Mm-hmm.
As a comedy, it is Nickelodeon.
Right.
It is like a Nickelodeon TV show with Eddie Murphy playing 3 hysterical characters.
Did you like the Nutty Professors?
Loved.
Yeah.
Not the Clumps.
Okay, I didn't
but
see
loved
the
the Nutty Professor.
The 2, yeah.
Loved Coming to America.
Well, obviously.
Loved Harlem Nights. And
loved Harlem Nights?
You're being
very kind. Yeah,
I liked Harlem Nights. Arsenio Hall was the best part of that.
Yes.
And you have Red Fox, Richard Pryor, Della Reese, and Robin Harris.
You have some of the best actors.
I mean, some of the funniest human beings that have ever lived.
Right.
And Norbit, he is so funny in that. Dude, I'm not lying. I know I might have been wicked stoned.
Yeah. Yeah, you anything that you need to defend that I tell you to defend, you have to watch Stone Cold Sober at some point and go.
That can't happen.
No, it can't happen.
But I was wicked high, and in the middle of Norbit, I was like, he's going to get an Academy Award nomination for this. Like, for supporting actor, this is amazing.
Did he?
No,
oh,
the friggin' Academy.
Right, because Juno swept that year, and I can't believe it.
Christopher Waltz had to be nominated for playing the exact same character in another movie.
Christopher Waltz?
It was more at the time of Django. I don't know.
Christoph Waltz is his name, but that's all right. Sorry, Internet. I'm gonna get on first class and go to Barcelona and
go to Hamburg.
Yeah, Hamburg
and go play with Christoph Waltz.
Yes. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
But Norbit was really legitimately thought he was going to get a Oscar nomination.
You really were high.
As I thought, very stoned watching The Spy Who Shagged Me, that Mini-Me should have gotten an Academy Award nomination because he was brilliant in that movie.
For the longest time, I said that The Spy Who Shagged Me was probably my second favorite movie. And I love the first Austin Powers, but I know, Jazz.
Jasper doesn't agree. That's my pooch.
He's like, no. But I remember whatever.
What I wouldn't save in a tornado.
Exactly. I can't remember what age I was, but I remember laughing from start to finish on The Spy Who Shagged Me. Just like, this is wonderful. And I thought Heather Graham was great in it. And
totally.
Again, you're right. The introduction of Mini-Me and Fat Bastard as characters was unbelievable. And I thought Rob Lowe doing his best
Rob Wagner.
Rob Wagner impression was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like every bit about it, and like the time travel all made sense.
Yeah,
it was all
great.
Legitimate. And I thought, oh my God, usually your sequel is not as good.
Right.
And I thought it's almost 10 times better.
But Mini-Me in particular was so frigging hysterical. And how he understood
everything
acting.
Yeah.
I mean not acting, it's such a dumb thing to say. But how
it was pantomime essentially.
I mean, and was so adorable and oh man.
But their relationship you liked, everything, them singing just the two of us into the rap like it was Will Smith, it was brilliant. Everything they did in that movie was brilliant.
Agreed.
How do we want to end this podcast? Have we figured that out? I know we said favorite movie or movie to go see.
I think we've covered that.
Yep.
So we can just close it. Just throw a close out.
All right. Let's do it.
Boom. So I think we've pretty much covered everything from 2006 to current.
I think we, at least in the DC world, and a lot of tangents. So, but look, thank you for bearing with us. If you listen to the whole thing, we really appreciate it. We're just starting out. We're just two good friends who love movies and love chatting with each other. So if you come back next week to hear next week's, we really appreciate it. Please tell your friends. That's how we get the podcast out. And
share, comment, have a good time.
Yeah.
And spark up if you want. If you don't, I get it. But if you're under 18, you got to wait.
Yeah. This
'Cause I don't
podcast
support that.
does not endorse drug use, but it's super fun, according to Bobby.
Yeah, no, it does more harm than good, but man, that good is good.
So until next time, thank you for listening. And remember, stay preppy and...
Stay stoned.
All right.